So, welcome, people. It is me, Krubus136. Patch 7.36 is here. So I don't know what this, Crownfall thing. I think they're just mentioning that there's another Crownfall thing. I don't care about that. So we just care about the update, okay? It looks pretty hefty. It's gonna take some time, but we're gonna try our best to go quick. It's not gonna be quick. It is what it is. So, here we go. Two big new mechanics, okay? And I read about this far in, right around here. So, innate abilities. Innate abilities are abilities that present on a hero for the entire game. They're present on the hero for the entire game. From the beginning of the match. They give an example of this when I was actually reading on the webpage rather than this. So, actually, funny enough, they have it right here. Different example, though. They can view the hero page or in-game by hovering over a new icon. Two types of innates. Some innates grant a hero a unique effect. For example, Faceless Void slows enemy attack projectiles within range, and Dawnbreaker reveals the whole map to allies when the sun rises. Some innate changes a hero ability to have 5 levels instead of 4, and start with a point in it. So Kunkka's Tidebringer he now starts with, no matter what, at level 1. He could then choose to put more levels in it, but he would have it no matter what. Doesn't have to space level 1 on it. So he could still have Tidebringer and go Torrent or something. Or Legion Commander's Moment of Courage. Same thing, right? Facets are a customizable choice that provides the ability to better align with the playstyle of a hero with a specific match or player preference. So, each hero has 2 facets, and every player can choose the facet they prefer during strategy time at the beginning of the match. They can view the hero page below the hero name and tags. They can also be viewed in-game by hovering over the thingy, the scoreboard, and stuff. Facets are set for all players after the strategy time and cannot be changed during a match. Facet choice aren't revealed to the enemy team until the game begins. They can have a variety of effects. So Viper can choose between adding an AoE damage burst to poison attack. So after you spit on people, it's going to pop. Or increasing defensive buffs while Viper's in Nether Toxin. So you're in your own Nether Toxin, you have buffs. Wraith King could choose between summoning skeletons or dealing additional curse damage when attacking. Lesrak can choose between his attacks restoring mana, like his right clicks, or changing Diabolic Edict to explode faster but deal no damage to buildings. I can't see why you would ever take Diabolic Edict and not blow up buildings. Lone Druid can choose between an improved Spirit Link, meaning that he heals better when him and the bear are attacking, or Lifesteal in both granting Lifesteal in both directions, or allowing True Form to be cast on the Spirit Bear, meaning the Spirit Bear can also gain all those buffs. So those are a lot of changes. We're going to look at all the heroes individually. Nothing else to say about that. I can't possibly respond to everything. Strategy time. Strategy time is extended by 15, 10, 5 seconds for the 1, 2, 3 weeks after a patch, a numbered patch. So 7.36 just hit. We're going to be in the first week at 15 extra seconds for strategy, then 10, then 5. Glyph Fortification no longer refreshes when the first 2 or 3 towers destroyed. This is a dramatic fucking change. I don't know what's below, but this is one of the biggest changes you are going to see in this patch. This is going to create a situation where once Fort goes down on the first tier 2, right? You push a tier 2, they have their fortify back. If they blow it, they do not get it from the tier 3 anymore. They get it when the first melee barracks goes down. Note, melee. That means you could push a lane, take a tower, take a ranged, then go push another lane, take a tower, take a range, and they still do not get their fortify back, right? That's going to allow early game wins, basically. Now, you might still want the melee because the value it gives for a lane of super creeps, but still, it's such a big potential change, right? AoE bonuses now affect all auras and cleave sources. I don't know what they mean by an AoE bonus, but like, it's just making sure any kinds of weird auras stack like they should, I believe. I'm not sure what this actually affects directly. Dominated creeps no longer allow players to bypass backdoor protection. It's a huge nerf to Lycan and Beastmaster. Anybody who was trying to get quick pushes or brood sometimes off of a dominated creep, right? So good. Nerf that like split pushing stupid meta. Hero denies now grant experience to the hero who created the deniable debuff. I can easily explain. I already read the thing. I know what this is going to say. So, your Quap. You cast Q on Shadow Shaman. This is the exact example. I know what it says. You cast it on Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman's team denies him because it's a deniable, DOT. Before, no gold, no experience for you or your team. Nothing. Completely nothing. Now, there's still no gold. Nobody else gets XP, but QoP will. Because QoP created the circumstance that caused the hero to be denied. QoP still gets experience. And that's what this basically says. Mana bars are always visible for enemies. I guess that's just a quality of life. Fountain buff grants couriers haste movement. It just means couriers will get a really quick burst of movement out of the stash, right? It's just nice. It means they'll come faster in general. Both directions. If courier has no items, pressing deliver the courier button sends the courier back home. That's just a quality of life. Mana cost reduction effects no longer work on abilities that drain mana over time. Here's the examples. Voodoo Restoration. Minor. He never builds it. Arctic Burn with Aghanim Scepter. That can matter because sometimes Wyvern has a Kaya. Ball Lightning. That's a huge nerf to Storm. Chakram for Timbersaw. He sometimes buys Kaya. Pulse Nova for Leshrac, right? Also a huge nerf. Morphlings morph already work like that. This is a huge fucking nerf to a lot of those heroes. Specifically, I'm looking at Storm, Timber, a little bit, and Leshrac. Huge nerfs. Attack speed display is no longer normalized to 1.7. This is just a display change, by the way. This has no effect in game. It just has a weird way of displaying attack speed, and they decided to fix it so that the attack speed is more regularly displayed. It even says here, no actual gameplay change, just a display change. So attack speed should look more normal for like how it makes sense. Spell cast range is now always listed with a new icon, which is located near mana costs and cooldown. So it'll tell you what the cast range is without hovering over it or doing anything. Holding Alt displays the vision range of all watchers in the map. Oh, it's easier to see the watchers then. That's really nice. Nice quality of life. Lots of quality of life. Experience gained from abilities and wisdom runes will now show up separately in the post-game XP breakdown for Dota Plus users. That means you can like show, oh, the reason this hero had as much, XP is because of a wisdom rune or something like that. Added a levels width parameter for ability descriptions to show which ability needs to be upgraded to level this one. Okay, so, Tinker has Keen Conveyance, which also affects Rearm. It just means that they'll show they level together. So it's clear. Ability tooltips now show icon next to ability values, indicating that those are upgraded by Aghanim Shard, Scepter, Talent. These are just quality of life things. Don't care about spectator view controls. Who cares? Pinging items on enemies that can't be seen currently no longer reveals information on whether those items were consumed or not. Okay, quality of life. Demo, nobody cares. You can change facets and stuff, that's cool. New Dota Labs feature, persistent range indicator. If you hold Alt while right-clicking on either the experience indicator, attack range indicator, or ability item, the game will draw a persistent range indicator in the world for you. You can only have at most one active at any given time, but it updates automatically when you attack, cast, AoE range changes. New Dota Labs feature, dynamic health bar focus. The health bar of any hovered unit will always draw on top of any other health bar. Added the ability to type in a hero name, jump to that hero when viewing patch notes in the client. So if I were to hit, A. There it is. Yeah, it's nice. I haven't got this part. This is the first time seeing that. Cool. These are mostly just cool changes. Obviously, this stuff matters a lot more, but everything below that is just all quality of life. Ability draft I don't care about, but I'm going to see if anything interesting. I'm not going to read them all if they're not important. Nope, don't care. I really don't care. Rashawn's Banner. Okay, we were looking for a rework. Me and Eddie talked about this. Now grants invulnerability to all allied creep. Okay, that is much better. Effect range was decreased, so it doesn't, they have to go closer to it. Creeps lose Banner's effect once they leave the radius, though. Banner duration decreased from 5 minutes to 2. Melee hero attacks now deal 2 times damage to it. Cast range decreased from global to 1200. So I still think this is shit now because the fact that they have to be near the banner to be invulnerable, that means that you have to use banner and fight on it. You have to fight on banner. That's fine, but I can see it just not being that helpful. It would be nice if the banner was right on the outside of tier 3 and you guys stood on it, right? If you could do that, it would help that end game push. So I can see it being useful for an end of the game push. You'd put it there on purpose so that enemies can't kill the creeps at all. They can't just clear it. Be like, oh, we clear creeps. It's like, nope, you can't. Until you get kill us, you can't kill the creeps. And it would cause those creeps to still be kited away from the tower, but they'll maintain backdoor protection being off and all that other stuff. Dragonlance can't be disassembled. Good. I hate disassembling any item. Eternal Shroud went up by 100 gold. Probably needed. It's a very good item, so, you know, nerfing it is net needed, right? Apparently status resistance sometimes eliminated soul burns damage where it wouldn't happen. Obviously, that's not intended, so it just fixed a bug for both of these. Maelstrom's Chain Lightning went down by 10. It got nerfed before, and it's getting nerfed again, making Maelstrom a lot less of a desirable item. 10 less damage on each individual unit it's going to hit for 4 units is a big deal. That's very sad, right? Very sad. Octarine Core lost 75 health, 75 mana, making this item much worse. It's still good, but that does matter. That's not to be understated. That matters. Sange, recipe went up by 100. No longer provides any status resistance at all. It now provides slow resistance. That's stupid. I don't really want Sange anymore. Yasha and Kaya also went up by 100. They didn't change anything about them, though. Yeah, definitely Sange looking a little bit. Heaven's Halberd. Recipe decreased by 100, meaning the total cost is unchanged. Okay, that's good. No longer provides status resistance, provides slow resistance. I mean, whatever. Manta went up by 100 since they changed the Yasha. That was probably needed too. Manta's too cheap. Meteor Hammer, recipe cost decreased by 100, but the total cost is unchanged. I'm assuming something below affects that, so it's the same. Sange and Yasha obviously went up. Slow resistance changed. Yasha Kaya now gave a 25% cast speed bonus. That's really nice. Why didn't they change... Yeah, Kaya doesn't have that. That's very interesting. Interesting. Yasha Kaya also gets a 25%. So basically anything with... sorry, I read the wrong thing. Cast speed. Kaya Sange does the slow, obviously. Now also provides 25% mana cost and mana loss reduction. So it didn't used to have mana loss. They got rid of it. I forgot about that. That's really nice. Kaya, okay, that does make Sange a little better. That it builds into Kaya Sange, so that's not bad at all. The mana loss, mana cost reduction is really nice, but it can't affect Storm. So, Wind Waker Cyclone cooldown was increased by 3, 100% needed. This item's wicked expensive, but so fucking good. Those are all the item changes. There's not really that many. No, I think they're good ones though. I think most of them are cool. Sange being nerfed is whatever, but. Ogre Seal flop now plays a flail animation while heroes jumping. I guess that just makes it like more obvious what they're doing. Abaddon, there's gonna be a lot of changes by the way for the facets and stuff. Just expect that these are gonna take some time. I know I'm only 13 minutes in, but this is the majority of stuff. Abaddon, base damage decreased by 6. Fuck you, Abaddon. So good. Worst carry, right? His innate ability is that Abaddon has a 10% faster respawn time. Very interesting. I think it's cool. Facets, the quickening. Every time a unit dies within range of Abaddon, all of his cooldowns are reduced by 0.2. Dying heroes reduce cooldowns by 4 seconds. Which means he's going to cast a lot faster now, if he takes this. Then there's an aphotic shield one. Damage barrier is increased by 50%, but no longer does a burst of damage on expiration. Whenever damage is dealt to the barrier, an enemy within 675 range takes damage equal to 80% of the absorption amount. Increases duration and cooldown by 2 seconds. So basically the idea of this, right, is that if you're playing Abaddon as a core, maybe you take quickening, right? Just to reduce all your cooldowns like your ult and stuff. That's really what you would want for it. So you can stay in the fight, right? But if you're going support, this is maybe it's still valuable, but I think the shield's better. Because it's going to give you a much better, barrier, right? Normally, the damage barrier goes up to 315. It's going to be 50% more than that, which you're adding 157 or whatever. On top of that, that's a big deal, and it lasts longer. So instead of 17 seconds, it's going to last 19. The cooldown would go down to 6 at max level, right? There's all kinds of reasons why this would matter. Curse of Avernus no longer silences. Now the full effect is applied on the first attack. Each hit resets the duration, which means you already get that the slow and the increased attack speed just on one hit. No silence ruins that ability, just so we're clear. Bonus attack speed was decreased also, by the way, since it's always on. It was halved at all levels. That's dramatic. Actually, less than half at the beginning, but it ends up at half. So they lowered it by 35, 50, 55, 60. Yeah. Am I right about that math? 45. Sorry. 45, 50, 55, 60. That's what they reduced it by. Movement slow is also rescaled to be much lower. Instead of 15 to 60, it's 10 to 25. Damage per second was also decreased by 10 at all levels. Duration was decreased by 2, which is huge because it was 4, now it's 2. Aghanim Shard no longer improves slow. This is a dramatic nerf to Curse of Avernus. They did make the talent worse too. Both talents. They did get the extra attack speed here though. But honestly, I think Abaddon's ruined personally. As a core is ruined. I think he can only be a support, which is cool. Base attack speed on Alk went up by 10. Okay, he is kind of a slow attacker. Grieval's Greed remains an innate ability. Passive can't be leveled up, so he just has it right off the bat. Weird. Seed Money. Alchemist starts with 250 bonus gold. So that sounds really bad, right? Because you're like, okay, who wants to start with a one-time thing that will not affect the rest of the game? I haven't seen the other one, but think about it like this. He can come to lane with completed items. Like you could have, still have Tangos and a Quelling Blade and a Bracer or something. That change allows him to really win the lane, right? Or whatever else he wants. Mixologist. Now decrease Berserk Potion cooldown by 50%, Unstable Concoction by 30% for the duration of Chemical Rage. That's way better. Just being able to throw both those things way more often during ult, that's way bigger. Corrosive no longer reduces status resistance at all. Now reduces base attack damage for a percentage. Stats are no longer multiplied during Chemical Rage. I think that's okay, actually. The status resistance mattered, but I think base attack damage means they can't hurt back, which means Alk can actually be like a anti-carry, right? If he hits you enough, you don't do any damage. Just per stack. Bonus health regen increased by 10 at all levels for Alk, making him tankier too. I think this is okay. He didn't lose anything. Corrosive Weaponry got a change, but other than that, I think this is really nice for Alk. A. Death Rhyme. A's abilities now apply frost stacks to deal 10 damage per second and 1.5% movement slow for each stack on the enemy. Bone Chill. Each stack also reduces target strength. Improves with Ice Blast level, so it's your ult. Wait, Ice Blast. Ice Blast is his ult, right? Okay, so why is that 4 levels? 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't make any sense. Ice Blast has 3 levels. Unless we're talking about Ags affecting it or something. That's probably a mistake, I'm not sure. Or Cold Feet deals Death Rhyme damage to all enemies within 400 radius of the target. Meaning that everybody in the Cold Feet target takes a stack and takes the 10 damage per second and a movement slow. Honestly, I think Bone Chill is the only appropriate one. This isn't worth it. Removing strength is huge. Cold Feet no longer deals damage on its own, now applies Death Rhyme stacks. Stacks are dispelled when leaving the break area. Break distance is increased, so it's harder to break Cold Feet, making that a better ability. Stun duration is also increased at earlier levels. Better ability now. Ice Vortex no longer deals damage or slows movement speed on its own, now applies Death Rhyme stacks in its effect. Stacks are dispelled when leaving the AoE. Chilling Touch applies 2 Death Rhyme stacks the last 4 seconds. Bonus damage was decreased. Mana cost increased. So it's less of a burst now. Everything happens over time. Ice Blast doesn't deal damage on its own. It applies 2 Death Rhyme stacks for the duration of the debuff. Meaning that you're going to take the whole ult. You're going to be taking 20 damage per second and be slowed. It'll probably still work out. I think the Death Rhyme stacks will still matter. So, and now that you have now that you can stack a bunch on a single person, their strength will go down dramatically. Yeah, I think it's fine. AM, I really want to see this. Mana Break is now an innate ability. Passive can be leveled up with skill points. So it's just adding one more level of it. Mana burn per hit was rescaled. It used to go to 40. Now it starts lower, but if you put a point into it, it'll be close to the same, meaning it used to be 25 at 1. Now that you can still level on top of that, right, you'll be at 23, slightly less. You catch up by the 3rd level, you're over by the 4th, and even more over by the 5th, meaning he'll burn more. Is the percentage changed? Early percentage is lower. It catches up by... Sorry. Because again, we're going to look at it like this. No, it's going to be the same. If you actually went at level 1, you'd end up at the same. No longer slows the target on full drain by default. So they're going to move that to one of its abilities. So no slow on Minute Break normally. Mage Bane's Mirror. Counterspell reflects spells when activated. Reflects spells when activated for the counterspell and ally. Mana Thirst. Grants bonus attack damage when a hero within 250 has less than 60% mana. Increasing as their mana is depleted further, up to a maximum of 70 bonus attack damage. Oh, sorry, damage, not speed. 70 bonus attack damage at 15% mana, in which anti-mage gains vision and true sight of that hero. That true sight is huge. That's a counter to like Bounty Hunter. It says true sight. Ricky, right? Mana cost increased on Blink, whatever. Counterspell no longer reflects spells by default, only blocks them. The mana cost was increased. Same with Ally. Blink Fragment, mana cost increased. Charges decreased to 2, that's necessary. They take less time to go, though. The charge time is decreased by 5, so they're up more often, in theory. 9 Strength, replaced with extra magic resistance. Blink cooldown, replaced with 40% slow on mana drain, so you'll still get it. Cast range, replaced with the cooldown, so I kicked up here. Counterspell magic resistance, which was kicked down here, gets replaced with blink cast range. So they kind of did a little shuffling around, and they added in this to help with the slow on fully drained mana. So basically, they kicked the slow down to a talent at level 15, which is like fine. That's okay. They remove the countering spells unless you choose this, which you'll see the heroes and decide if you want that, but I think Mana Thirst is usually going to be better. Other than that, I think everything's fine. I'm okay with the hero. Having more mana drain, right, 4 more, I'm cool with that. Like, fuck. Arc Warden. Ability effects no longer depend on the side Arc Warden plays for. I think that's a bad thing, too. New innate ability. It's passive. Upon activating any rune, gains the regen rune buff for 4 seconds. Duration is reduced by 34% for activating bounty or water runes, meaning non-real runes. Okay. So he can heal and stuff if he, just gets a rune. To give him a reason to get runes. Order. Arc Warden and Tempest Double have their respective ability effects. Or Arc Warden and Tempest Double have their ability effects swapped. I think what they mean is they'll both have the same ability, or they'll have the different one they used to have. Oh, I get it. Okay. So, the idea of you being Arc Warden, and depending what side you are, you're the real Arc Warden. Now you can decide. Order would be like Arc Warden has whatever one they like, right? The original Arc Warden ones for Radiant, I believe. And your duplicate has the Dire one, or the reverse. I think that's what that means. Magnetic Field is no target ability. It creates a field centered around a caster, which actually is way worse for Arc Warden. It means he has to go into a dangerous situation. No longer affects buildings, and creeps by default, meaning there's going to be a talent. Now always pushes all enemies away from the bubble when created, even without Ag Shard, so it automatically pushes. Ag Shard no longer provides magic resistance. Ag Shard now increases radius by 75, changes speed of attack projectiles that are inside the bubble. Any ones are slowed, and ally ones are sped up. Okay. And over here at 25, he gets a magnetic field affects buildings and creeps. Tempest Double lasts much longer. It was increased to 60. I hope the cooldown changed too. It did. Distance Bounty now increases incoming damage by 75% instead of reducing outgoing damage. So Arc Warden will still do his full damage, but he will die a lot faster, the duplicate. I think that's better. Because before you jump the duplicate and he just doesn't care. And even getting 50% lower damage didn't matter. It was still enough to kill a support. Now, yeah, he'll kill you if he gets on you, but he can die, right? Stun, boom, boom, he's dead. I think that's better, actually. Cooldown was increased by 30 seconds at all levels, right? Now restarts at the ability cooldown if the Tempest Devil is killed by enemies. Okay. His abilities, I guess, is what he means. Restarts. Okay, so if you were ticking the 60 seconds and duplicate dies by the enemies rather than times out, your 60 seconds restarts. That's what I think this means. I think they've ruined Arc Warden. This isn't enough to help. This is minor at the least. Magnetic Field not having the building change is a huge nerf to Arc Warden at almost all levels, right? And the change to Tempest Devil, meaning it's easier to kill as well as a really big negative if it does die, is a huge negative. I think Arc Warden is no longer as good. Axe. I'm still in the A's, by the way. Oh my fucking god. Code of Blood. Whenever Axe kills an enemy, he gains 1 permanent armor. Kills with Culling Blade give 2 times that amount. One-man army increases Axe strength by 60% of his armor, as long as there are no allied heroes within a radius of him. Effect lingers for 5 seconds after the ally walks within range. So basically, depending on his armor, he'll get strength, which is health and damage, as long as no one's near him of his allies. He's meant to go by himself. Berserker's Call increases bonus armor by 5. Taunted enemies gain 45 attack speed for that duration. So it's supposed to trigger a ton of really quick... This is huge. A ton of quick spins. Berserker Skull's bonus armor was decreased because obviously you can get it now other ways by a little bit. Ends up at 5. It starts at 2. Aghanim Scepter upgrade, move to Aghanim Shard, still applies Battle Hunger to all effective units, but it doesn't reduce cooldown anymore. Battle Hunger now applies immediately after applying and every 0.5 seconds afterwards, which provides 1 extra tick, which means it does a little bit more damage, right? It's going to be 1 extra tick of 10, 15, 20, 25, as well as stopping blinks. Aghanim Scepter no longer provides armor to Axe, now makes multiple Battle Hunger debuffs stackable, so you can get multiple on people. Which is a 5-second cooldown, 12-second duration. You get 3 at a time. Counter Helix. Aghanim Shard upgrade, move to Aghanim Scepter. Damage reduction per stack increased from 15 to 20. Max stacks decreased from 6 to 5. That's just the Aghanim Shard part. Aghanim Scepter no longer allows Counter Helix to counter to decrease when Axe attacks. Okay, just other ways for him to counter more. Bonus armor on kills moved to innate ability. Cool. I mean, I think that's good. I think this call-out ability and stuff for the attack speed and all that, it's really nice. Bane, to meet up with the fact that he always has the same gain for all stats, he increased them all by 0.2. That's a really nice buff for him. Bane's attribute gains are always evenly distributed across all 3 attributes. Okay, that's wicked. I just was making fun of this, and now here it is. Any stat gain Bane gets is evenly distributed. That's actually a nerf. In some ways, a buff in others. A nerf for any item that was supposed to do one thing, like boost strength, because now he's going to waste it on agility. But a buff if he likes an item that has, like, agility, and he can get strength for it. So, like, it depends what items you're going to buy. It's going to change that. Bane gains attack speed when attacking Nightmare units, whatever. Nightmare is a vector target. Affected unit starts unobstructed movement in the chosen direction at 75 speed. If the effect is passed by attacking, the newly affected unit will also move in the selected direction. Oh, right, if you throw it off in your ally. So you can make it so that instead of Nightmare just being on a unit, you can move someone somewhere. And the reason this doesn't have attack speed anymore is because they moved it to this. I mean, this is fine. Probably a buff for Bane overall. I'm not sure. Batrider. His attack supply debuff that deals 15% of the attack damage every 1 second for 2 seconds. Damage over time pierces damage block. After using an ability or an item of an enemy hero that applies a force movement effect, gain 10% movement speed and 8% spell amp. So basically when you ult 2 or force staff someone or whatever, it's going to give him spell amp and movement speed and stuff. Seeking Napalm can apply to buildings, dealing 25% damage. That's really big. Damage per stack was increased on Sticky by 1, 2, 3, 4. Damage to creeps was decreased by 30%. Creep penalty now also applies to application damage. So it's not just the damage as you right-click, but the application itself, which is the 5, 10, 15, 20 was decreased. Flame Break happens much faster. That's really good. Damage per second was decreased on Firefly by 5, 10, 15, 20. Flaming Lasso does 150, 200 more damage. So this is kind of counterbalance the less damage here. You're going to do more of your ulting. I think it's really nice for Batrider. Nice change. Base agility increased by 4 for Beastmaster. Fuck Beastmaster. Inner Beast just gets another level now. So instead of going 10 to 46, it goes 5 to 55. So that means that he'll always have more attack speed when he levels it. Now only affects Beastmaster and units under his control though, so nobody else gets it. Inner Beast. Bonus attack speed from Inner Beast is increased by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per unit controlled by Beastmaster that is currently under the effect of Inner Beast. So if he has extra units, he'll get faster attacks. Can be activated to increase Beastmaster's attack speed by a lot. While this effect is active, his attacks will apply Wild Axe debuff on the current level, allowing the stacking damage, right? Both are good. They're very similar. And they nerfed some of his talents because reasons. I'm not going to go into that. Bloodseeker's 15 slower. Whenever Bloodseeker kills a unit, he restores 25 health flat. 1% of the unit's max health per Bloodseeker's level. Because this is going to be a new ability, I guess, of his. No, it's per Bloodseeker's level. It gets better. So 1% turns into 30% if he's at 30. Restores for half values when denying, so that's a good nerf. Or if an ally kills an enemy hero within 300 range. The healing is classified as lifesteal and is amplified by lifesteal amp. Lifesteal from creeps reduced by 40%. Arterial spray. When attacking a ruptured target, Bloodseeker and the target get pushed 50 units in the direction Bloodseeker is facing. So like he goes with you, like he pushes you, making you activate more rupture. Thirst can be activated to grant extra movement speed. Thirst does not grant passive movement speed while on cooldown. They lowered the Aghanim Shard heal damage by 15 on Blood Rage. Thirst no longer has max HP threshold and starts at 100%. So you're always going to get that Thirst. Thirst movement speed was decreased though because of the other effect of saying this. No, sorry, it doesn't give a movement speed. Because they gave other abilities, they wanted to decrease it. Yeah, he only kills his move to that. Interesting. That's a lot of changes. I'm not sure I can completely follow that, but that's I'm not sure how Bloodseeker will be. When getting a kill or assist on an enemy with a kill streak, Bounty Hunter gains 10% extra gold. Okay, it's just a comeback mechanic. Shuriken damages and slows all units it passes through, so even if it's not applied to them, it just goes through them. Track. Bounty Hunter steals gold every time he targets a hero with a spell. Value depends on the current level of track. That's fucking stupid. If they're already tracked and you cast track, it won't trigger. So he just steals more gold. Shuriken's damage went up at late levels. Mana cost was also increased. No longer slows attack speed. Mana cost, who cares? No longer grants bonus damage to Shuriken toss, so that was nerfing the Shuriken meta. No longer provides a critical strike on attacks. Now increases all damage taken by the target. Oh, okay. So now Bounty Hunter is better at like helping other people. And the 2 Shuriken charges was replaced because they didn't want that anymore. I hate it. I hate it here. I don't want to be in this. I don't want Bounty Hunter in my games. Brew. Drunken Brawler is an innate ability. Can be leveled still though. So there's more armor for Earth. Magic resistance scales to the same. The evasion got nerfed early. Movement speed got nerfed early, slightly buffed late. Fire's crit it's the same scaling basically. The attack speed is slightly better later. Sash resistance is worse early. Well, it's actually better early technically because of the 8. It's the same basically. And the slow was nerfed early. When casting Cinder Brew, Brewmaster rolls the whole barrel in the target direction, dealing damage and drenching enemies with Cinder Brew along the way. Enemies hit by the 75 range barrel take physical damage a lot, actually. The barrel always rolls for distance of 950 and then explodes, drenching all enemies. Or Drunken Brawler. When brewed up, Brewmaster moves with a varying amount of movement speed, altering between 20% slower and 50% faster. That's probably not... I don't know. It's probably not worth it. Decrease in the early Thunderclap. Movement speed decreased early, increased late. Attack speed slow, decreased early, increased late. Cinderbrew can only be ignited for magical and pure damage. Physical damage spells will not ignite. Primal. Earth Ruling's demolish damage was decreased at all levels by a lot. Cyclone duration now has to scale up to 5. Windwalk cooldown got absolutely destroyed. The movement speed also has to scale up. It's not as good. Bruling's no longer, for Primal Companion, no longer have any movement, cooldown, or casting penalties. I mean, it's a nerf overall for this stuff here, though. Not sure how this works out, but this stuff sucks. Base damage decreased by 8 on Bristle. That's wicked painful. Warpath is innate. Damage per stack was rescaled because it's innate, so it basically ends up being the same. Yeah, it's basically the same. Movement per stack was rescaled so that there is a 0%, so that ends up being the same. Stack duration was increased to be longer, make it easier to actually get stacks. Max stacks was rescaled, so it's basically the same other than the early stack. Zerk increased attack speed by a lot per stack. Damage per stack was decreased to 5 at all levels, meaning you don't getting extra damage, we get attack speed. That's probably better. Viscous stack limit was increased from 4 to 6, so you can have more armor and slow debuffs. Armor reduction per stack goes up, so more armor shred. Instead of Quill Spray, Bristleback's active when you do enough damage to his... Sorry, it's passive when you do enough damage to the back of him. It shoots Viscous in a radius whenever the damage threshold's met. So basically you become a debuff junkie. Aghanim Shard no longer increases stack limit. Quill stack damage rescaled to be 30 always. That's a nerf to mid-game to late game. Bristleback, Aghanim Scepter Spray interval increased so it doesn't happen as fast. That's what that is. 0.05 seconds more in between each, like, bam, you know. Silken Bola ability replaced with Incapacitating Bite. So no more Silken Boa, I guess. Choose to have that anyway. New innate ability. Whenever Brewmother kills a unit, she and all units under her control in a radius receive a fully stackable buff that heals them for 4% of the victim's health each second. For 3 seconds. It's lifesteal, so it gets affected by it. Necrotic Webs. Enemies within the webs have their health regen reduced. Or Insatiable Hunger. Applies bonuses to all spiderlings under Brewmother's control in an 800 radius. Interesting. Which means they get attack damage and lifesteal and stuff. That's really big, actually. The attack damage is bonus percentage. It won't affect them nearly as much, but still. Move speed bonus no longer decreases with the unit's current health. No longer provides health regen. Ooh. Incapacitating Bite applies a debuff that slows, gives a mischance, which it used to do, increases all attack damage reduced by that target. Increases all attack damage received by the target for... yeah, it's not much damage, but the spiders will affect that. Spiderlings now create similar spiderlings instead of spiderites, so they won't be weaker. Now also slows target. Spiderling health was decreased by 20. Interesting. Okay, I mean, I think this is going to be interesting for Brood. I think it's better, probably. Base health regen decreased from 5 to 4 for Centaur. His movement speed went down by 5. Those are really painful for the lane. Rawhide. Centaur Warrunner permanently gains 40 max health every 120 seconds. I think that's better than the health regen. Just having more health, typically. It's max health. It's not just health, by the way. So, every 2 minutes. So, if a game lasts 30 minutes, he'll get 15. So, 400. He'll gain 600 health. Max health in that game. That's a lot. That's a lot. You can weigh in if you want to, Sonic.
Lich. Amazing.
I haven't got there yet. I'm in C, so that's really weird. Double Edge, damage increased by 25% of the damage Centaur Warrior took in the last 6 seconds, meaning he does more double edge damage based on damage taken. Up to a cap. Horsepower. Centaur Warrunner gains 40% of his strength as bonus movement speed. Does not stack with movement speed bonuses from boots. Max movement speed cap increased from 550 to 6. So basically, you can go a build where you don't go boots anymore. You just go this and get strength. Interesting. Stampede's a longer cooldown. It has to scale back. Hitch a Ride grants invulnerability to the mounted target, meaning whoever's inside the cart is invulnerable. No longer ends when blinking or teleporting. That's actually a much better ability now. That's what we needed. That's what will make that ability actually people will get it. They needed something to help the person inside the cart as well as not ending it. CK. New innate ability. Whenever illusions of Chaos End are created, there's a 50% chance that an additional one illusion will spawn. That would include Manta, by the way, because it just said whenever any illusions are created. That would include Shadow Demon, I guess, too. Phantasmagoria. And all illusions created by or of Chaos Knight are strong illusions. This includes phantasms, illusions of allies created with Aghanim Scepter, items, illusion rune, and illusions of Chaos Knight by other players, both ally and enemy. Shadow Demon. Additionally, Chaos Knight's illusions within 1200 radius have 20% damage reduction, making it harder for them to die. That's a huge buff. That means Lion and Shadow Shaman can't just end his illusions. Reality Rift has an equal chance to apply either break or disarm or nothing on the target unit. This debuff lasts for 50% of the armor reduction duration. So that basically means that you could break or disarm. I never see this happening. I think everybody will go Phantasmagoria, personally. It's just better. Cast Bolt. Max damage was increased by late game by 60, which just changes the range of it. Aghanim Shard no longer increases cast range. Aghanim Shard illusion deals 30% less damage, so the Aghanim Shard's worse. Cast point on Reality Rift is shorter, meaning it's more likely to go off instead of that weird, you lose vision. You lose vision. That'll happen less. Illusions from Phantasm are no longer strong illusions by default. Oh, they used to be strong illusions. I didn't know that. Okay, so that sucks. So Phantasmagoria is basically just replacing something that, was already whatever. Okay. Okay, I do not want to read all of this Chen change, but here we fucking go. Summon Convert. It levels up with Holy Persuasion, improves the Chen's level. Chen summons a Convert to fight for him. The Convert gains bonuses from Holy Persuasion with the exception of health, which is set to 200 times 80, 200 plus 80 times Chen's level. Only one Convert can be summoned at a time, and it dies if Chen dies. Cooldown 30. Cooldown starts once the Convert dies and automatically refreshes on Chen's respawn. Which creature summoned is dependent on the chosen facets. Centaur Convert. Okay, and it gets better. So basically, Centaur Corsairs into Conquerors, Wolf. Okay, we all know what this is going to be then. They're all the things you summon. Holy Persuasion no longer is a minimum health threshold. Now dominated creep health is set to a similar number. Bonus damage was decreased. Move speed decreased. Gold bounty for dominating creep was decreased. So it has to scale up. Aghanim Scepter, Martyrdom ability now with a global cast range. That's cool. Divine Favor. Armor scaled to be worse early, better late. Active Heal Amp now also affects health regen. That's cool. Healing and regen amplification was decreased to have to scale up. Now upgradable by Ag Scepter, makes health regen or a global and affects all allied units. That's really nice. Hand of God, heal over time, increased by 2 seconds, making it a better heal, obviously. Because it's, ends up being 40 per second, and it'll be 2 more ticks of 40. So basically, it seems that he can still take over creeps with Holy Persuasion, but now he also gets to summon a Convert, right? Which looks like it's 1 creep. It's just 1 creep he gets to decide he has. Yeah, only 1 Convert at a time. So he'll be like, oh, I want Centaur. All right, you just have a bonus Centaur on top of any, Holy Persuasion, right? So he'll have more units. I think I understood that very well. Clink's death and some of his abilities can summon immobile skeleton archers to attack enemies. Skeletons deal a percentage of Clink's attack damage now his attack range, but deal reduced damage to buildings. Skeletons last for a while and die after multiple attacks from heroes, meaning a certain number. Strafe. Enemies hit by attacks from Strafe get a debuff that causes them to miss some of their attacks. Debuff stacks when applied from different sources. Clinks in each individual skeleton. Stacks expire after the strafe duration is concluded. Attack range bonus is increased by 100 for strafe. Death Pact makes Clintz take the place of the consumed unit while leaving a skeleton archer in his previous position. Also reduces Death Pact charge restore time by 10 seconds. So basically it allows Clintz to get away. It gives him an escape. I think this is really good for Death Pact. It's probably worth it. This is good too though. Attack speed multiplier for skeletons was rescaled to be kind of in the middle. Yeah, I mean this is all good. I think this is all cool stuff. Clock. I like Clock a lot. Outgoing damage is increased by 0.3% per point of armor. So if you're tanky Clock, you do more damage. Hook up. If the hook hits an ally to pull into, cooldown is reduced by 75%, and stun and damage radius is increased from 175 to 300, meaning you can hook an ally and help stun someone near them. Power cogs. Cogs are formed in a radius increased by 115. Cogs have a smaller trigger radius, but they can affect enemies inside, pushing them towards the center. Normally, to get hit by cogs, you have to be leaving the cogs. So that would make it more like Marzalt, where you get hit if you go near them, allowing more control over whatever, right? Both of these are good. Power cogs no longer provides a magic damage barrier to allies. Power cogs are not destroyed by Clockwork's attacks and are pushed instead up to 1,000 distance. So it just kicks them out. It destroys trees too to make it easier. Cool. Crystal Maiden lost her 0.5 mana regen. Shit. Crystal Maiden has 50% mana regen amp instead. That's much better. Arcane Aura increases her cast range and provides an AoE bonus as well for Hurl, for example. Or every time Crystal Maiden casts a spell, allied heroes within a range receive a percentage of the mana spent. These are both good for different reasons. These are both cool. Frostbite no longer has bonus duration to Ancients, but it deals extra damage on non-Ancients. Sorry, it doesn't have a bonus damage on non-Ancients, but it deals extra damage on Ancients. Whoa. It also takes longer to tick. Self bonus for Arcane doesn't give any. There is no more anymore. Crystal Maiden receives close mana regen bonus, which is also amplified by innate. So there just isn't any self anymore. She gets the close, the new number, and she then multiplies it. Freezing Field doesn't grant armor. Attack speed slow was increased commensurately though by 100. Oh my god. At late, you know. Crystal Clone can now be aimed where Crystal Maiden will slide. Oh, that's really nice actually. Oh my god, we're at D, dude. Kill me now. I've been doing this for 47 minutes, Sonic. Mental Fortitude. Darkseer's int can't be lower than either his strength or agility. If any of these attributes are higher, he gains intelligence to match them. So he can't lose int from Silencer or something and not be able to cast. So he's a counter Silencer now. Darkseer gains 0.5 attack speed per each point of intelligence, or base movement speed decreased by 275. Darkseer gains 8% of the movement speed of all heroes of both sides within 900 radius. So he'll be slower in general, but way faster in a fight. Aghanim Shard damage per second from Trail increased by 5. Cast point on Iron Shell is better, so it'll come out faster. I mean, that's all cool. Whenever hero ability makes Dark Willow untargetable or hidden, she gains 100% health regen and 100% mana regen while in that state. Okay, so, you know, using Shadow Realm. Or, like, anything else that makes you untargetable or hidden. I think it might count Yules. Well, in Shadow Realm, Dark Willow emits a radius aura that increases damage that she deals to enemies affected by it up to 25%, if so she does it near you. Damage scales based on how long she remains under the effect. Or Thorny Thicket. Bramble creates 4 additional brambles in the outer ring that last 50% less. Enemies rooted by any bramble take 10% more spell damage. Cursed Crown Backswing was improved, making it happen. She can act after it faster. Cooldown was decreased slightly, 1 at all levels. Terrorize has a higher radius as she levels, making it easier to hit people with it. I mean, buffs all around. Fuck Willow. Break of Dawn, Dawnbringer. Whenever the sun rises, she gradually reveals the entire map to allies over 4 seconds. Fog of War returns 1 second after that. So that allows you to see everything, including heroes and stuff. So every morning, right? Whenever Dawnbreaker hits a target with a powered up luminosity, she decreases the cooldown of all of her abilities, non-items, just spells, by 1%. Sorry, 1 second. Or when the hammer is on the ground, it emits a weaker pulsing effect of Solar Guardian and a radius around it. Its efficiency is reduced by 50%. Increases the duration that the hammer can remain stationary up to 4 seconds. So she can actually heal her allies and stuff with hammer as well. Fixed a bug. Solar Guardian healing can now affect Dawnbreaker herself if she's in the target area, so she does it on herself. Can now be cast when Celestial Hammer is out, forcing the hammer to return when the spell is cast. So that means like you won't be like have to pull the hammer on purpose. Dazzle. Dazzle's abilities apply Weave to both allies and enemies that they affect, increasing allied armor and reducing enemy armor. Multiple instances affect stack. Okay. Whenever Dazzle overheals himself or an ally, it grants that hero a physical damage barrier equal to the amount overhealed for 10 seconds. If the target already has a larger barrier, it will be refreshed instead of being added onto. Poison Touch. Every 4 times Dazzle attacks a target affected by Poison Touch, they take a burst of damage up to 100, and prompts additional Poison Touch projectiles to fire at enemies within an AoE. So right-click Dazzle's coming back. The amount of additional units affected is equal to the Poison Touch number of targets. Yep. So right-click Dazzle's coming back. And Bad Juju took the armor, got removed, and put on Weave. Death Prophet's occult knowledge deepens with experience, gaining 0.5 movement speed per level and reducing cooldown of abilities by 0.5% per level. Suppress applies movement slow to affected units on silence by a large amount, 25% at max. Or Spirit Collector. Whenever a hero dies, Death Prophet traps their spirits as a charge for later use. This affects both allies and enemies within a 2,000 range. Can be disabled by break to prevent it from happening. Exorcism. Casting Exorcism consumes all Spirit Collector charges to replace one standard spirit per charge with spirits of fallen heroes that do way more damage. Okay, so I get it. You use ult. You summon 12 or something, or 16 ghosts, right? For every charge you have from heroes dying, it will now replace that many ghosts with super strong ghosts. If an enemy hero is killed, if any hero is killed during exorcism, their spirit will instantly replace the standard spirit if possible. Otherwise, no charge is gained. So basically, like if you have 14, 16 ghosts going around, right? How many does it actually end up being? 24 is the max. So you get 24 ghosts. Let's say you already had 8 charges. You start exorcism. 8 of those 24 are these super ghosts, right? Then you kill an enemy. Now another one, a 9th one, turns into a super ghost. Make sense? Silence no longer slows movement speed by default. That's because it was moved to that. Exorcism no longer grants passive movement speed because that was moved to the Witchcraft. And just changed some talents. I think it's really nice for Death Prophet. I think Spirit Collector looks super cool. Disruptor. Whenever Disruptor takes more than 250 damage from enemies within 400 range, all nearby units are pushed to a 400 unit distance from Disruptor. So it pushes you back. Just interesting. Thunderstrike strikes all enemies within kinetic fields. Interesting. Or, instead of kinetic field, you get kinetic fence. It's a vector target, creates a single flat wall with a width of 1200. The wall is created after 0.75 seconds and has a duration of pretty much the same as kinetic. It has 2 charges, though. Okay, so instead of the circle, which is not exactly as good sometimes, you can create a wall, much larger wall, and 2 of them. Meaning, you can actually trap people. So if you put a wall down and someone blinks, you can put a second wall back past that. Be like, nah, we're not doing that. Or you can create interesting shapes like a triangle to trap people. Like if they're going forward, you could suddenly funnel them with like a double triangle. So now they're stuck at the end of the triangle and they would have to go all the way backwards to come out of it. I can see this being really cool. Thunderstrike no longer has any interaction with kinetic field normally. Aghanim Shard bonus range was decreased by 400. Bonus strikes decreased by 1. The ground thing reduced by 2. They rescaled glimpse damage to be a little bit better. Well, worse early, better late. They nerfed kinetic field late cooldown. Okay. Doom. I'm not even that close to Lich or anything. Jesus Christ. Base damage decreased by 2. Base health regen was increased by 1. Strength gain increased by 0.1. That's probably better, honestly. You'd rather him be tanky. Oh, they brought back level pain. Doom deals 10% bonus attack damage to enemies whose level is lower than his. It used to be level death, but there used to be like specific levels depending on the level you were, multiple of certain numbers. He started at like 5, and then it was, I think it was 6, 5, 4, 3. And if you were one of the, like a multiple of that number, he would hit you for a big number. Otherwise, it did nothing. Yeah, so just extra attack damage just slams you. Replaces 70 cooldown with 2 charges with a longer restore for Devour. Stolen creep abilities are upgraded by 1 level. Ooh, that's really nice. That's really cool, actually. Devil's Bargain. Items sell back for 90% of their price, but buyback costs 15% more. Oh, that's not worth it. That's not good. The buyback is too much. Devour doesn't gain any armor at all anymore. Scorched Earth cooldown was nerfed early. Okay. So, Sonic, have you looked at any of the other heroes, or are you just excited about Lich, whatever happened to him?
I looked at Phoenix, too.
Okay. I'm still at D, so sorry. No one else is around, it seems, anyway. I thought they were all going to play.
Rocket's here. He's just not in the call.
Yeah. Okay. Add a new ability, Worm's Wrath. It replaces Dragon's Blood, providing an upgrading Dragon's Knight's attack modifiers set by Facet. Worm's Wrath. I see it, okay. Provides Dragon Knight with 4.5 health regen, 2.5 armor, which are further increased by 0.5 with every hero level. Health regen and armor bonuses are multiplied by 1.5 times with Dragon Form. Alright, facets. He gets to choose which dragon he gets. When human form, attacks have cleave. While in dragon form, cleave increases by percentage and turns into splash damage to all enemies within this. Or you get, when human form attacks by poison, reduces their armor. And when you're in the form, it increases, obviously. So basically, whenever you're in the form, it increases. Human form, you apply frost. It reduces their movement speed, attack speed, and all health they restore. So you get to choose which facet you want. So you get to choose what kind of dragon you want to be. Breathe Fire no longer applies dragon's attack effects. Worm's Wrath provides and improves attack modifiers to the chosen facet for both human and dragon form. Illusions can't apply Worm's Wrath attack modifiers. Now upgradable with Aghanim Scepter, improves attack modifiers by the chosen facet. Right, so this ability buffs whatever thing you chose. No longer changes dragon type with each level. Now the dragon form depends on the facet. Now increases attack damage by 20, 60, 100. That's really big, actually. And the black dragon doesn't have any magic resistance. I think it's a nerf overall, but it's interesting. Drow's 10 faster. That's a wicked big buff. Grants bonus agility to Drow Ranger and allied ranged heroes within 1200 range. Effect starts with 1% of Drow's Ranger's current agility, increases by 1% with each level. Bonus is doubled for Drow Ranger herself. Ooh. She's going to get 60. At level 30, she gets 60 bonus agility. Ooh. Vantage Point. Drow Ranger deals 20% more damage with attacks from high ground or multi-shot. Drow Ranger can use items and move during multi-shot with a 40% movement speed penalty while aiming at the initial target. So she can, like move as she's doing it. Like, think about, like, Wind Ranger attacking while moving. Like that, except in waves. I think Vantage Point looks so fucking good, by the way, because she can use her shard to get up. Movement speed slow decreased on arrows. That's needed. Gust doesn't grant bonus movement speed. Multi-shot no longer has bonus slow duration. It just does normal frost arrows. Marksmanship, bonus agility for allies, move to innate. I mean, I think this is probably a buff for Drow. I like it. Or a spirit. Okay, I'm not going to understand this, I'm sure. Stone Remnant remains as an innate ability. Active, improves their spirit's level, so we'll get there. Alright. Stone Remnant has a duration of 60 seconds, 7 charges with additional 1 max charge gained every 5 hero levels. Each magnetized Stone Remnant gives Earth Spirit bonus attack damage. Or, they have a 20-second cooldown, does not use charges, instead has a 4-second cooldown, and Rolling Boulder does not destroy the remnants. It lets you use them, but won't get rid of them, allowing you to magnetize better or use them for other reasons. Geomantic Grip, remnant damage increased slightly at late levels. Cast range was rescaled, so it scales to be better. Magnetize, it's easier to refresh or explode for 200, so that's really good. Overall, I'd say they're probably buffs. Aftershock is now an innate ability, which means obviously you level it and stuff. It's going to be weaker earlier, though. It has to be scaled up now. The stun, however, is about the same. Yeah, it's about the same. It'll be the same. You can get radiuses increased with Aftershock by 50 with every 10 hero levels. So you have really big Aftershocks. Or Enchant Totem. Killing an enemy with an empowered attack will send their body flying 1,200 units. That's so funny. You hit them with Enchant and they just go, woo! 1,200 units, wicked fast, dealing 5% of the killed unit's max health as damage to all enemies it passes through. This damage is increased by an amount if the killed unit is a creep, and a huge amount if it's a hero. Okay. Sounds good, I guess. I don't know. I'd rather the Aftershock, personally. Ooh, 50% Echo Slam cooldown reduction. That's really big, actually. That might be the biggest change. Earthshaker right there. I'm getting so close to L here. I'm at E. Astral Spirit's now an 8. Looks about the same. Looks about the same. Looks about the same. Looks about the same. I'm trying to speed through this. Looks about the same. Looks... Hold on. Yep, about the same. Not much changed. It just moved it over. They just made it so it's part of it. Every second enemy hero stays under the effect of the aura, they lose 1 armor and 1% magic resistance. Stacks up to a maximum of 20. Or his attack speed is decreased by 75, but he receives 20% of his movement speed as bonus attack speed. Okay. I mean, I think the natural order one's way better. Personally, I don't know why you'd want this, but whatever. Ember, I like Ember. Flame Guard's an 8. It passively deals damage in a radius. Activating it increases damage radius. Oh, so it passively always deals damage, but activating it increases the damage. And the radius. Yeah, the radius and damage. Magical damage. Magical. What, Sonic?
You're gonna have to change your whole ban list now.
Why?
It's a bunch of heroes that you're not even close to that are now broken.
Oh, I'm sure. I actually want to see Pudge. I'm excited for that. I might skip to Pudge after this. I really want to see.
Yeah, not that good in my opinion.
Magical damage barrier rescaled to be worse early. Duration rescaled to be worse late and early. Active damage per second rescaled to be worse early. So technically nerfs on Flame Guard, except that early damage always, right? Slight. When connecting with 2 or more enemies, the enemy closest to Ember will be attacked a second time with a reduced damage. Or when Searing Chains are cast, they are also cast around each fire remnant. A target will not be hit by chains from multiple sources, meaning you can't just have like 3 remnants and just hit them with a bunch. Unit count increased from 3 to 4 though. That's really nice. Cooldown on Slight went down at earlier levels. Lol. I don't know. I think he was nerfed overall, meaning he didn't get any real buffs. Meaning it's not all nerfs, but like some of the smaller nerfs, and I don't think it's worth it. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Enchantress. But I get Pudge real quick. Actually, I might want to see Invoker first. I'll wait for Invoker. I'll be patient. Faster. Okay, god damn. Jesus Christ. There's so many heroes! Fuck. Pudge. Base agility decreased by 3. Oh, that's an armor hit. Rough. And attack speed. Base health regen increased by 0.75. That's huge. Armor increased by 1. That negates the armor. So now he just has lower attack speed. That's it. He'll actually have more armor on average and more health regen. So these are buffs at the top. Flesh Sheep is a innate ability. Wait, but why does it only have 4 levels? If it's an innate ability... Oh, it levels up with Dismember now. Oh, that's kind of painful, though, because you can't... It doesn't look like it gives you any damage block. Oh, Meat Shield's new. Okay. I'll get there. I'm going to ignore the thingies real quick. I want to go to this Meat Shield. Pudge covers himself with a layer of flesh that blocks damage of any type from any source. It's basically the same old ability for the most part. So basically all they did is now, if you want that passive, he always has it. But the Meat Shield is its own ability. That way you don't have to take it if you don't want to. Dismember doesn't last longer on creeps. Whatever. Okay. When targeting heroes with Dismember, it increases Pudge's strength by 357 per tick. So that means Dismember lasts 2.75 seconds. And the ticks happen at I actually don't know how often the ticks happen. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to guess it's 6 times roughly. Let's just say it's 6. I could be wrong, though. It could be 5. It's probably a lot of ticks. So, Prodigy can get like 35 strength over the course of ult. That's huge. I know you said it didn't matter, something like that matters a lot. It's a lot of fucking strength. Meat hook. The hook impact damage decreased by 50, so your hook wouldn't do a lot of damage. But they take damage based on how far they're pulled. It's not bad either. I think the fresh meat one's better, though. Yeah, I don't know. He's not too much of a buff, but it's overall a buff. It just isn't huge. I don't know if I can go into all these. I'm not even close, dude. I'm at an hour, 5 minutes. Alright. Enchantress. Whenever Enchantress is about to receive a neutral item token from a neutral creep, she gets 1 more. So she can just farm them faster. Whatever, that's so useless. Whenever Enchantress takes more than 250 damage from an enemy, a wisp appears to heal her. Can't have more than 4 protective wisps at a time, so there's a limit. Or she gains additional attack range when attacking enchanted heroes, so she enchants you, she can attack you from farther. Cast range on enchant is also increased commensurately. Almost as much, anyway. No, yeah, commensurately, I believe. Enchant no longer deals damage at all. But she receives 50% of the experience bounty of the enchanted creep, so now she actually gets experience, so she's going to level faster. If she enchants a creep, it'll always drop a neutral. So you can actually farm neutrals pretty fast now. Creep bonus health was decreased, though. So they're weaker. Okay. Overall, pretty cool. Gravity Well. Allies near Enigma have a damage reduction bonus that gradually increases with proximity to Enigma. Effect starts 0% at 500, increases to 15%. That's kind of nice. Just being near Enigma makes you tankier. Enemies in a radius have a 15% move speed slow while moving away from Enigma. So if you try to go away from Enigma, it's harder. So if he's ulting you, for example, and you get out of it, you're still slow. Whenever Enigma takes more than 350 damage from any source, he spawns an Eidolon. These Eidolons have reduced gold and experience bounty. I think Ben Horizon's probably better. Midnight Pulse costs more, whatever. Aghanim Scepter max HP as damage was increased by 0.5%. I mean, it's whatever. I don't think anything crazy for Enigma. That's minor. Void got a 0.3 agility gain. He needed it. Distortion Field. Any attack projectiles are slowed when they are near him. Effect projectiles even if it faces Void isn't the target. By a lot, actually. So, like, it's a big nerf to, like, ranged heroes in general. Time Lock is guaranteed to backtrack any damage for 1 second after casting Time Lock. So it basically makes Time Lock really fucking strong. Or replace Chronosphere. Creates a blister in space-time, altering the movement, attacks, cast, projectile, and turn rate speed of all units. Allies have increased speed, and enemies have decreased speed. Doesn't pierce debuff immunity, though. Attack speed manipulation. 50, 100, 150, move speed, 50, 60, 70, cast speed, 40, 50, 60, turn speed, 30, 40, 50, projectile speed, 30, 40, 50. Radius 800, durations 5 to 6. So basically, instead of having a complete, like, shutout, it's more of an ally buff. It's like, everybody, let's fight together! And he jumps in and he just completely debuffs all the enemies and buffs his allies. I think that's actually really cool. This might actually be what people are getting because it looks really cool. Grim. Adds an effect to Grimstroke's attacks to cause enemy heroes to leave a trail of ink behind, gaining a vision over them but not over their surroundings. Okay, it's like Dagger for Spectre. Adds the new Ink Explosion sub-ability, allowing Grimstroke to manually trigger Ink Swell. So that got taken away now. And put on this. Stroke of Fate is vector targeted to curve Ink's path trajectory and increase the bonus damage per target. They fixed a buff, because obviously a buff. Okay, I think overall that's actually really unfortunate, because now he has to choose if he wants to stay the same hero he is. Also, they've decreased the buff duration of Ink Swell by 2 seconds, nerfing it anyway. So be the same hero he is, he has to take this facet. He's basically the same, but still a little worse. Other than the Ink Trail. Or he takes this and he ends up being worse in a different regard. So, Gyro. Gyrocopter can disassemble most items at all times and sell any recipes he has for full cost. Okay, that's really weird. I hate it. I hate it so much. Call down. Decrease strike cooldown to 0.8. If an enemy hero gets hit, another call down missile is called that tracks the target. Has a 200 impact radius centered around them and deals 50% of the damage. Each hero may only have one tracking missile. Okay. Rocket Barrage. Every successful hit increases Gyrocopter's movement speed, making him faster. That's really nice. Rocket Barrage does no longer grant slow resistance. I think this is all overall not that great. Hood. You have a chance to redirect attacks into a tree within 75 units, but it destroys the tree. Okay. Scurry. Well, Scurry's active. Hoodwink gains attack and cast range. So attack range and cast range. That's really annoying, actually. Acorn Shot. If there are no available targets to bounce, Acorn Shot will look for a tree within search radius. Instead, bouncing off a tree sets the remaining number of bounces to 1. So basically, worst case scenario, it's not going to bounce. It'll bounce off a tree and then bounce back. Scurry no longer provides evasion near trees, no longer increases attack and cast range by default. So all it does by default is movement speed. That's it. That's pretty painful, actually. So it took away from Scurry and put it there. That's really sad, actually. Huskar. Please don't be broken. Please don't be broken. Huskar doesn't have mana. Fucking poor. Mana cost of items and abilities are converted into health costs, which are considered as magical damage and can be reduced with magic resistance. Of course they can. Life Break. Spills Huskar's blood in 500 units around the target, applying its movement and attack speed slow to all enemies. Annoying. Or heals all Huskar's allied units within 400 range for 100% of the damage dealt to the targeted hero with Life Break. That sounds really gross. Inner Fire no longer disarms. Now it silences. That's probably better. Disarm is a little bit more annoying for carries. So I think that's better. It also happens slower. The health cost of Burning Spear was increased by 1% to kind of balance out, you know, some of the whatever. Berserker's Blood, max magic resistance was increased by 5%. Fuck you. Magic resistance during the leap was increased by 10% of Light Break. Fuck you, Huskar. Honestly, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna do Invoker, then I'm gonna grab a water real quick. When Invoker denies a lane creep, he gains 15% experience, which I guess is good because he needs levels. Alright, Agnostic. Passively adds a debuff to Invoker's attacks that deal extra damage per second for 2 seconds. Active orbs grant no additional bonuses. For Quas. Wes. Passively grants attack speed. Active orbs grant no additional bonuses. Okay, so basically, just for having levels in it, just levels like it used to be, he gains bonuses, not for actually having them out. And grants damage. So it's like it used to be, sort of. Except they used to also have active, but yes. Alright, so basically, instead of having, doesn't matter what orbs are out, you just gain some passive buffs. And level 25 talent is 2 times the effects. Both are, actually. It changes on both of them. They just change the passive or active. Or, active Quas imbues Invoker's attacks with a flat life steal. Restoring a lot. Like, it's not percentage, a lot per orb. Or gains movement speed per orb, or increases, have the attacks apply a debuff that increases spell damage the enemy takes. Okay, very interesting. Wex no longer grants cooldown reduction. Cool. Cold Snap, lower cooldown. Ghost Walk, lower cooldown by 7. Ooh. Tornado, lower cooldown by 3. EMP, lower cooldown by 3. Alacrity, lower cooldown by 2. Chaos Meteor by 5. That's a big one. Stun Strike by 2. Forge Spirit by 3. Ice Wall by 2. Deafening Blast by 4. I gotta tell you, Sonic, I'm playing Invoker.
Just wait until you see Tinker.
I don't want to see Tinker in a game or in this patch. Alright, I gotta get water. I just said that. So.
Oh, don't worry.
Hold on.
You like it.
Hold on.
You'll like it.
I'm dying of thirst here. I have so many empty waters that are not helping me. Sort of almost done. Just kidding, not really. I'm gonna end up getting to play. What are you gonna do? IO, always look like a short one. It's good. IO's team takes one less channel, 1 second less channel watchers. When watchers are under control, its vision radius is increased by 300. Whatever. Grants attack speed or spell amp or armor magic resistance for overcharge, which means him and the ally. Both could be good depending on the context. Tether does more damage per second now when you're inside, like inside the tether, but it doesn't slow as much. Creep collision damage for spirits was increased, so there's more damage to the creeps. Okay, Shakiro. Turn rate was improved, meaning he turns faster, which is good. Double Trouble. Shakiro's attack launches 2 projectiles at the target with a 0.2 second interval, but each deals 50% less damage. One of these attacks ignores melee hero's default damage block. This penalty affects bonus damage as well. So basically, if he has an on-hit effect, it should technically affect both of them. I think this is a nerf, though. Even though it looks like a buff, because now it's going to cause a situation where if he tries to deny, he's going to be worse at it. Liquid Fire. Burns all enemies on target like it did before, reducing their attack speed. Yep. Cooldown decreased. Aghanim Shard now deals extra damage of the target's max HP per tick. Doesn't affect buildings at all. That's really sad. Oh, you end up getting both anyway. So you just choose which one you start with and which one you get 25. Freezing attack, which deals bonus damage and applies a chilling effect. Movement slow, bonus damage from their other abilities of Jakiro. Does not apply to buildings. Okay. Dual Breath has 100 extra cast range. That's dramatic. Ice Path's cast range went down by 100. That sucks. But it does happen faster. Much faster. Macropyre is a little bit less wide. Cooldown also went up. I don't know. Some of these changes to like Ice Path and Dual Breath are really good, but I'm not sure. I'm not feeling the Jakiro. Juggernaut deals 10% more damage to targets that are facing him. The damage bonus is always applied to Omni. Ooh, that's really nice, actually. Blade Fury can crit, or gain a stack of Blade form for every 2 seconds up to a max of 10. Each track grants 3% bonus agility, 1% movement speed bonus, stacks reset upon taking any damage. Okay. So if you waited and you jumped to hero, you can get 10 stacks, get 30% bonus agility, 30% movement speed. Plus the fact that he's doing 10% more damage to targets that are facing him during ult. So what you would do is you blink ult, your ult's 10% more damage, and you have a bunch of agility on top of that, which shouldn't affect much. It would just affect how often you're hitting. I think that's how it works right now, his ult. Yeah, slash rate. Yeah, multiplier. Blade Fury strong dispels at the end. That's really big, actually. His crit chance is always the same, but the crit damage now has to scale up, which is kind of unfortunate. Bonus damage on ult was decreased, probably because of the potential buffs it's going to gain. I don't know, he's fine. Allies within range of Keeper have 15% more max mana. That's very interesting. Solar Bind is granted by Spirit Form. Magic resistance reduction was rescaled to be better late, worse early. Aghanim Shard replaces cooldown with 2 charges. And it happens faster when you cast it. Recall. Cooldown was increased. Teleportation delay increased. Those are nerfs. Recall now increases the target's movement speed during it, meaning they can still run away. If teleportation was successful, both Keeper and the target will receive this buff again. Can now be alt cast to teleport Keeper of the Light to the selected target. So you can just choose to go to your ally and help them. That's a huge buff. No one's taking Solar Bind. Everyone is taking a recall, just so we're clear. The fact that Keeper can show up to a fight globally by doing that, that's huge. Aghanim Shard makes his Illuminate during ult heal more. Interesting. That's so interesting. Kunkka. Strength gain nerf by 0.2. Tiebringer's innate ability. Let's see what mattered. It's the same. It's the same. The cooldown is the same. Attacks by illusions can now put Tiebringer on cooldown. Very interesting. Tiebringer cooldown is reduced by 0.8 per hero hit, meaning you can get Tiebringer back much faster. Or whenever heroes return with X, ghost ships rum is splashed on allies within 400 radius. So it's like a support Kunkka basically, or a 3. Like, let's just buff all you guys with, you know, rum buff. It's a short rum buff, but still. Stun duration was decreased on Torrent. The enemy delay on X is reduced to 3, making it harder to like predict stuff. And the ally one was decreased by 6, making it harder for Kunkka to split push with that, because he can't go as long. You know what I mean? Until X pulls him back. So that's really big, very big change. I think this is a big nerf on X. Obviously, this is the same on Tiebringer basically. So we're only really looking at nerfs as well as changes to this. I think both of the facets are very interesting, but not overly interesting. So I'd say Kunkka is one of the least interesting heroes I've seen yet. Moment of Courage. Hold on. It's better at all. It's better at all levels, basically, slightly on the lifesteal. The cooldown is the same. Overwhelming odds grants her an all damage barrier equal to 100% of the damage dealt to enemy heroes with overwhelming odds. Or, when a duel is won, any unit that damages the loser during the duel will permanently gain damage too. The fuck? What is that? So if you duel a target and your entire team hits, they all gain 12 damage and you gain whatever you're supposed to gain based on, you know, the 30 or either like a town or something. Like, what? That's crazy. Base damage increased on overwhelming by 5 at all levels. Damage per hero is also increased by 5 at all levels. No longer deals extra damage to illusions, which sucks. Buff duration's longer. Cooldown is longer. Aghanim Scepter no longer provides dual damage reduction. Dual damage. Yeah. Now provides Illusion Commander with debuff immunity for the duration of duel. That's actually better. Duration with Aghanim Scepter. Well, I guess no. Now Legion does feed a duel. She can feed the enemy team, I suppose, too. It's kind of worth noting. Duration with Aghanim Scepter is increased to a little bit more early, but the same late. Very interesting. I think these are cool changes to Legion. Very interesting. Leshrac. Base agility decreased by 6. Ouch. Agility gain decreased by 3. Base armor increased by 1, which does not counterbalance. He's still going to end up with less armor at level 1 and beyond. Aura of effect for Leshrac spells increases by 0.5 for each point of intelligence, so it'll just keep getting bigger. The Diabolic and stuff. Both of the facets are for Diabolic. Leshrac's attacks restore mana equal to a percentage of damage dealt. Improves the Pulse Nova's level. Only restores mana when attacking units that have mana. 40 explosions that are applied over 10 seconds in damage buildings. Or has 40 explosions that are applied over 7 seconds but can't damage buildings. So, okay. I see it. I didn't see it for a second. For a second I was saying, why is it 40 explosions in 40 explosions and one does damage, one doesn't, and the one that does damage buildings has an extra thing? You'd expect this one over there. But it's because this one happens faster. So it's 40 explosions over 3 less seconds, meaning the damage is significantly faster. You'll kill heroes faster. I still don't think anybody will take that. They'll all take the building one. They're going to change all the radiuses because he's going to get radiuses back. I don't know how that'll balance out, but that's the point. They're reducing all radiuses, hoping that Defilement will balance it out. I'd say overall it's nerfs, which is unfortunate, but I hate Leshrac. Lich, here we go. Lich's max mana regeneration is 0. Whenever any unit dies nearby, Lich restores a portion of his max mana. Dying heroes restore a bigger portion, works with deaths of both allies, enemies, and neutrals. Lich can regenerate mana only under effective fountain. That means you can't use mangoes, clarities, anything. That's not good. I don't think that's a good idea. Chain Frost. If the orb fails to find a new target to bounce into, it instead circles the previous target, waiting up to a certain amount for a valid target to come into range. This may happen multiple times per cast. Growing Cold. Grants additional bounces to Chain Frost and extends the duration of Frost Shield when these abilities kill enemies. Killing a creep extends the duration of Frost Shield by 1 second, while killing a hero extends it by 4. Killing a creep on Chain Frost adds 1 bounce, while killing a hero adds 3 bounces. I mean, the facets are cool, but I think the mana thing is disastrous. Frost Blast. Cast Backswing was improved, so it casts better. Cast Backswing on Frost Shield was improved, it casts faster. Sinister Gaze no longer requires Ags to use other abilities while channeling Sinister. So you can channel Sinister and cast Q or Ult. That's big. That's really, really big. I mean, I like everything except Depth Charge. Like, what were you excited about, Sonic? Just the facets?
My excitement is actually for the mana regen's nice, even though I can't get it off of other stuff. But with creeps dying so fast, or stacking the small camp and have you kill it while I'm sitting next to it, will still give me mana too.
No, I know, but like it says here that a creep gives 2.5% max mana, and it should last for... No, it's just, 2.5%. So every creep that dies... you'll get mana, right? But only 2.5% of their health. So if their health is 500, right? 10% of 500 is 50. 5% is 25. You'll get 12.5 mana for a creep dying.
Yeah.
If it has 500 health. 12 and
Well,
a
I
half.
mean, I like the Shield Frost thing too, because technically, for something like, let's say, Wraith King, if it kills one of the skeletons, it will charge the duration even longer.
Oh, I think I'm wrong. It's not max mana of the creep, like of their health. It's max mana of you. So I guess it's a little bit better. Because if you have 1,000 mana, that changes that math to be a little bit better. But I still think it's going to be rough. Lifestealer. Base damage decreased by 6. Base attack speed decreased by 20. Sorry, that's rough. Agility gain decreased by 0.7. That's dramatic. By itself, before I see anything, that's really dramatic. Feast. There's already an existing thing. Now also allows hitting ally creeps at 75% health compared to the default 50. So he can start denying earlier. That's cool. Max health damage. It's actually buffed at mid levels, right? Because you'll start at 1.7 and 2.2 to 2.25. But it gets nerfed late. It's a little better early, worse late for max health damage. Max health lifesteal. It's better though. It's worse early, better late. So less damage, more health, healing though. Lifesteal permanently gains +2 max health per unit kill. That's nothing. Who cares? 2? 2 health. Fuck that. 2 strength maybe. Replace rage with a new ability, Unfettered. Lifestealer descends into a violent fury, gaining magic resistance, status resistance, applies strong dispel, and can be cast while disabled. Duration is very short. That's actually really nice. It's better than rage. Yeah, I would never take the 2 max health per unit. Wait, unit. I'm sorry. It didn't say hero. Unit. Okay, these are actually fair. You could get really tanky or whatever if you farm a lot, Radiance farming. Rage no longer grants movement speed. Open Wounds is base ability. Since they moved Feast over there. It grants bonus damage based on enemies' max health. No longer does that. No longer spreads. Lifesteal was decreased after scale up. Cooldown was decreased after scale down. Well, increased after scale down. Cast range has to scale up. Ghoul Frenzy no longer applies movement slow at all. It does gain movement speed bonus though to Lifestealer when you're hitting someone. The bonus attack speed was increased at 5 up to 20, so now as soon as you get level 4 Ghoul Frenzy, his attack speed is now stabilized where it used to be. But, like, that sucks. Infest is now upgradable by Ag Shard. The explosion applies a 50% duration open wounds to all enemies, which is nice. I think he's just worse, honestly. I think these nerfs are too much. Lena. It changed the thingy. Hold on. 8 to 32. It's the same. It didn't change. Movement speed didn't change. Okay. No changes. They just, again, they moved it like they've been moving stuff. Lunica Blade supercharges Lena, giving her 12 Fire Stole stacks for 5 seconds. Or, impact damage from Lena's abilities is decreased, but each ability applies a stackable 3-second debuff that deals burn damage, which sums up into 65% of the original damage. Meaning it'll end up doing more damage across the burn. No, it says sums up. Okay, so she'll do more damage because she's decreasing by 60, but increasing by 65. So you're changing all of your stuff. I don't think that's worth it, though. I mean, I guess it could stop certain abilities like Blink or whatever, but I don't know. Dragon Slave no longer applies damage over time. Damage was increased commensurately, so they returned it. Cast point's better. It comes out faster. No supercharges by default. Cast point is faster, so she... Yep, in general, just casting it faster. That's really cool. Lion, I'm worried about this. Agility gain increased by 0.2, so more armor, more attack speed. Agility gain increased... Strength gain, 0.2. Agility gain, 0.2. So more health, more armor over time. Lion gains debuff duration and spell amp for 90 seconds after respawning. So he just shows up, comes in, and ults you. Got it. Deals damage equal to 100% of mana stolen, or after casting Finger of Death, Lion switches from range to melee attacks with a fixed 250 range and gains extra damage per stack. Oh my god. Okay, so basically, Lion still gets stacks from Finger with this particular facet. But then he's now melee. If he kills you, well, if you die 3 seconds after being punched by his new melee form, he gets another stack. Which means you could get like 5 stacks in a fight. Like nothing. And they had to change the mana drain damage to go over here, obviously. Very interesting. Overall nerfs, not counting this to hell and back, which is really interesting. And this Finger of Death thing that everyone's taking, nobody's taking Essence Eater, so. I hate fucking Lone Druid. Get him out of my game, Sonic. Alright, let's read it. Summon Spirit Bearers in 8. Oh boy. Alright, let's see. Didn't change. Health regen. Didn't change. Good. His base attack time didn't change. His armor didn't change. His movement speed didn't change. Cooldown didn't change. Okay, good. Spirit Bear now has a minimap icon as well. That's interesting. Okay, so no changes to Spirit Bear by itself. I like that a lot. So just the facets then. Shared armor is increased by 25%. Lone Druid's attacks heal Spirit Bear as well as the other way around. Transforms Lone Druid, providing him with bonus armor, increased health, and improved versions of Entangling Claws and Demolish. Or, Spirit Bear's attacks heal Lone Druid, but not the other way around. We're basically a Lone Druid only thing. Transforms the Spirit Bear, increasing its armor, reducing its base attack time, and granting... sorry, hiccups and cough at the same time. Granting 50% cooldown reduction on Entangling Claws. So it's weird, but why is it... Well, okay, so bear with me. Lets you share more stats, and Lone Druid transforms. And Lone Druid heals Spirit Web. They both heal each other, right? The other way, you're only focused on Lone Druid because... Sorry, the bear is the only transformer. It transforms the Spirit Bear. And only the Spirit Bear. So you don't transform. Yet, the only Spirit Link is the Spirit Bear heals you. Why would you want Spirit Bear to heal you if you're playing the Spirit Bear? Wouldn't you want to heal the Spirit Bear? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't play Lone Druid. Who the fuck knows? I'm not even going to claim to know. Luna has 20% bonus cast range at night. I mean, that's whatever. It's nice. Moonglaive will active. Reduces all incoming damage. Ooh, that's really cool. The Lunar Orbit. Like, yep. Or Lucent Beam. Luna gains extra attack damage bonus every time an enemy hero is hit by Lucent Beam. This includes Lucent Beams created by Eclipse, but those provide 50% less damage. Bounces decreased by 1 at all levels on Moonglaives. Now can be activated without Shard. Damage on collision is 20% of her attack. Interesting. Item Shard now increases rotating glaive count by 1. And the damage. Night Vision was increased early game. I mean, I don't know. She didn't really change much. I don't really care much about that. It doesn't really change much. Lycan. Lycan deals 2% extra damage to neutral creeps per hero level. So he farms faster. So he can get Shapeshift, movement, and critical strike bonuses are applied to all units under his control. So they crit as well as move faster. Enemy heroes killed by Lycan or his unit extend Shapeshift duration, so he's going to keep going. Or wolves turn into spirit wolves. They are invulnerable, uncontrollable, and cannot attack. Each wolf buffs Lycan, providing extra health and attack damage. A lot, actually. Increases duration, decreases duration. So basically, you can either have him buff his allies, his units, or you can have wolves that just stick around that you have to micro to make Lycan better by himself. How no longer fears non-hero controlled units. Wait. Okay, so if a regular creep's there, I won't fear them. Shapeshift no longer applies movement speed and critical strike bonuses to units under Lycan's control by default. That's why it's been moved back to Pack Leader. Wolf Bite, lifesteal increased from 30 to 40. Lifesteal now has a penalty against creeps. Cooldown was decreased slightly. Okay, I mean, it's not huge changes, I guess. Just farm faster. Magnus suffers 50% less force movement from enemies' abilities and items, so he's hard to move. Skewer deals bonus damage when pushing enemies through trees and cliffs. Each tree deals some damage, cliff deals a lot. Reverse Polarity pushes enemies in a 600 AoE Rare Magnus away from him to a maximum distance of 700, stunning and damaging them. Enemies are pushed over 0.2 seconds. Why would you want them away from you? That's really weird. I think I would take the run through Skewer just not to fuck up the Reverse Polarity, I think. Shockwave slow now starts lower but ends higher. The projectile speed was increased, so it's much faster. And it goes even faster with the Ag Shard. And power lasts less early, longer late. Skewer no longer slows enemy attack speed at all. No longer deals a percentage of the distance's damage because he has to hit you into stuff. Reverse Polarity increased damage by 25, 50, 75. Horn Toss went up by 25. I mean, I don't know. I think these facets are like whatever, but some of his other changes were really nice. Marcy is going to affect Infuri. Let's see. Permanently increases the level of all allied couriers by 3 and hero attacks to kill by 1. Yep, so I was going to say Marcy's team starts with flying couriers. Yep, that's disgusting. Sidekick. Marcy's third basic ability when the facet's picked. Bonus damage change from flat 6 to 48 to 12 to 30% of base damage. That's a really big change late game. Or Bodyguard. Passively grants Marcy lifesteal, increases her attack damage by a percentage. It's actually the same percentage. Can be activated to protect the targeted ally hero for 6 seconds. Whenever the ally attacks or is attacked by an enemy, Marcy attacks that enemy if they are within her attack range plus 125. The ally also gains armor for the duration. So either you can hit the target of Sidekick for damage, like percentage damage, right? Or you get the lifesteal, because you wouldn't get the lifesteal otherwise. The lifesteal and only you get the damage, right? It's passive. But you can protect an ally. So I can see the differences, right? Because this would buff whoever. This is kind of a self-focus, but you can buff it a different way. Rebound no longer is a minimum jump distance. That's nice. It had a really weird interaction. Strikes per Fury is rescaled to always be its middle number, which is actually a nerf to late game Marcy. Good. I think overall this is kind of painful for Marcy, just some of those small changes. Oh, I play Mars. Mars and his allied heroes within 2,000 radius gain increased health regen when they are outnumbered by the enemy in the same area. Each extra enemy hero provides 25% bonus health regen. So basically, if you're outnumbered with Mars in your team, you get a bunch of health regen. Cool. Arena Blood. If Mars is in the arena when an enemy dies, he heals 20% of his max health and max mana and gets a 20% attack damage buff for 15 seconds. Or Arena Wall is Obscure Vision, and enemies that are inside don't have the shared vision with their allies. So basically, it obscures vision, so you can't see like through if there's no reason to see through. So like if the arena's in your way and there's nobody there, just a random arena, you can't see on the other side. If your allies are inside, you actually can see them, but they cannot see you. I believe that's what it says. Because it says enemies that are inside don't have the shared vision with their allies. I assume that means that the allies can see them, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Either way, fucked up vision. Aghanim Scepter soldiers can no longer knock enemies out of leashes. That's good. Nice little change. I mean, this is really cool. I like this. Medusa has higher int gain, so she'll have more mana. Mana shields. No longer provides bonus mana on leveling up. That's disastrous. That's why she had the int gain increase, I guess. Whenever a Mystic Stake returns to Medusa, her next 3 attacks deal additional physical damage. Mana Pact can be activated, draining 4% max mana per second, but increasing attack speed by 3% of Medusa's attack speed per second. Mana drain can last up to 15 seconds, but attack speed will stop increasing after 10 seconds. Conversion can be stopped by deactivating Mana Shield, but it can't be done for the first 3 seconds of conversion. Attack speed buff will disappear after 15 seconds since the conversion is stopped. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. Damage on Snake went up a lot. Damage increase per jump decreased, so it doesn't bounce as well. Speed increase per jump did increase, though, making it bounce faster. Turn slow is now part of the movement slow. It has no special value and is decreased by 20%. I think this is overall a nerf to Medusa. I think this is very painful. I don't think this is worth it. I do like the idea of Mana Pact, but spending your mana is really painful. Meepo, please do not be abusable. Meepo receives an additional choice when activating neutral item tokens, so he can just choose from 6. Increases maximum level from 3 to 4 when divided by stand, and changes level requirement so he gets the Meepos a little bit earlier. Or Pack Rat. Meepo can equip any item in the neutral item slot. That used to be a talent. With the exception of boots and items that are dropped on death. Meepo's clones gain full bonuses from the item with the exception of the three primary attributes. When Meepo or a clone uses an item in the neutral slot, all the Meepos have this item go on cooldown, but reduced by 50%. So it's like Scythe or something. They can't all share Scythe, obviously. Cast range was rescaled on Earthbind to be higher in general, and it flies faster. You do get Pack Rat earlier in theory, and that could be considered strong, but to what effect? I don't see this being much of a change. I mean, maybe some small abuse that I can't see yet. At least I'm in the M's. That's good. Healing Lotuses are 20% more effective on Mirana and her allies. Mirana's ultimate ability when the facet is picked. So she gets Moonlight. Okay. Moonlight Shadow is one of the choices. Or she gets Solar Flare. The sun starts gradually increasing the attack speed and damage of Mirana per second, reaching its maximum after 8 seconds. She also gains bonus daytime vision with the same gain per second, multiplied by 3. Mirana's allied heroes also receive this buff, but bonuses are decreased by 50%. It lasts for 14 seconds. That's very interesting. So instead of like helping your whole team with invis, you just be like, no, I want to fucking kill people. which is fair. Aghanim Scepter secondary Starstorm damage was increased by 25%, making the Aghanim Scepter better. Leap goes farther by 75. The buff lasts a second longer. Mana cost is higher. Charges was decreased by 1. That's a big deal. And the charges take less time to come back, though. These are all just buffs to Mirana. It's very painful. Mischief is just his... They just moved it to his thing. It doesn't matter. Alright, Wukong's command. Soldiers disperse after 3 seconds if Monkey King gets outside the formation or dies. Returning inside the circle during this time frame will cancel the dispersion. Or, Tree Dance has no cooldown while Monkey King is at full health. So you can just go like bloop, 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 bloop. Those are both good. Balance Strike critical damage was decreased. It's a much lower crit now by a whole 45%, but it now deals bonus damage. That's probably better early, worse late, I'm assuming. Cooldown is now less at all levels. Primal Spins, max movement slow, was increased at low levels. Max damage was increased at late levels. Bonus armor for ults went up by 1 at all levels. I mean, these are minor, but I think it's nice. You probably needed a refresh. Alright, Morphling, you're probably my biggest fear. Morphling receives 50% of attribute gain bonuses every half level instead of full bonuses at level up. Also increases all attribute bonuses gained for skill points in the talent tree from 2 to 4. Okay. So it'll get more stats, but it'll also get them more frequently. Adaptive Strength knocks back the target hit, or Hero's primary attribute is Strength. Okay, so he can choose his primary attribute to be Agility, and it gives his Strength Adaptive Strike knockback. Or he's a Strength hero. Makes Morphling's current Agility to Strength ratio affect his cooldown speed, ranging from 50% faster with 175% Agility Strength ratio to regular speed with 50%. Replicated abilities are also affected by increased cooldown speed based on Agility Strength ratio. Morphling had before replicating. So basically, he can either be an Agility hero, which is probably better overall, but he has a worse Strength Adaptive Strike, or sorry, he gets his regular Adaptive Strike, but he's an Agility hero, or he gets this really cool cast, like he gets to basically be a caster, you know what I mean? Like he morphs and does really fast casting and all that. No bonus agility from Adaptive Strike. They obviously the change to Adaptive Strike Strength. Item Shard now additionally reduces mana costs by 50%. And Morphling benefits from most innates and facets of the targeted hero, which is gross. It looks like he'll be a gross hero, but not crazy. Muerta's base attack time was increased, making her a slower attack. But her attack speed also went up, so it'll probably balance out more or less. But her end game attack speed is probably going to be worse. New innate ability. Muerta can always attack ethereal targets and can attack when she herself is ethereal. When attacking ethereal targets, all of her attack damage is dealt as magical damage. Dance of the Dead. Whenever a hero dies inside of the calling, within range of the calling, its duration is refreshed. The circle expands by 100 units, and another revenant is added. And this one. Muerta places a sacred altar at the target location. When respawning, Muerta will spawn at the location and destroy it, putting the ability on cooldown. Muerta can select it and force it to destroy itself. Only one can exist at a time. So it just gets the ability to just have like a, I'm coming back when I respawn. The projectile radius of Deadshot was increased, making it easier to hit people. The slow duration was increased as well. Gunslinger is toggled on by default. Pierce, ability attack, etherealness was just moved to her. So, I mean, nerfs to the attack time, but everything else looks like buffs. It's really sad for me. I did not want that. Makes me very sad. Naga Siren gets 6% evasion for each Naga illusion. Says that he's Naga Siren within range. So she's going to be very difficult to kill. Riptide. Every 6 attacks, Naga... Yeah, it's Riptide. Or Deluge. Naga Siren, all of her images hit nearby units with a damaging wave of water that reduces enemy stat resistance. It does also do damage. So it's like an active, so it just allows you to do stuff. I think Riptide's probably better. Ag Scepter now allows Ensnare to go through Magic Immunity. Reel In, no longer granted by Ags. It is acquired on leveling Ensnare for the first time. Now acquires Ag Scepter to affect debuff immune. Max range was increased by 200. Targets that are being reeled in have phased and unobstructed movement. Channel duration changed from 5 to the length of the remaining Ensnare debuff. So she has to do it fast to get it off, obviously, because Ensnare will be like, it's like 5 seconds. So instead of 5 seconds for sure, it's the remaining. So that stinks. Song of the Siren now heals allies, even without Ag Shard. Ag Shard just increases the health regen. It no longer makes it longer, though. It no longer gets any mana. And the cooldown was increased at late levels. Overall, I think this Naga change is probably a nerf. But it's okay. Nature's Prophet base damage decreased by 6. Please don't give it back. No, they gave it back. Oh. He gains a bonus base damage for each tree within 300 distance. That's pretty close, but also gains multiplied amount of the bonus per Nature's Crawl treant within 1200 range. Alright. Sprout. Heals health per second for allied units and buildings near the trees. Healing for building is reduced by 50%, or summons one treant with a bunch of health, increased damage, and a reinforced property, making it change the type of armor it has versus other things. Treant multipliers increase from 1 to 3 for Spirit of the Forest. So normally trees only give you that regular amount, but if you have Nature's Call here, then it will allow you to gain extra. Sprout no longer deals damage. Yes! Now it immediately deals damage to enemies in a radius when it's cast, basically. Duration was decreased by 1.5 all the way to 2 less seconds. Cooldown was decreased. That's lame. No longer grants damage or armor stacks on teleport. Thank you. Now grants a HP barrier. That's better. That's fine. I don't mind that at all. I'd say overall these nerfs. I mean, he will do more damage if he's near trees, but overall, the fact that he doesn't gain any damage on cast and he doesn't gain any like direct armor, for example, I think that's much better. And the fact that now it's a one hit on Sprout is also nice. Necrophos. Whenever he kills a unit, he gains a stack that increases health and mana regen. So it's Sadist. Sadist is always okay. It's better too, it looks like. Profane Potency. Necrophos gains an AoE increase for current status stack, so his things will everything will hit more on like his Q, for example. Or Ghost Shroud. It increases movement speed by 25% of speed lost by enemy heroes. Heartstopper Aura no longer grants regen per kill because it's been moved to Sadist. So I mean, like, minor changes. Because nothing was taken away from him, it was just moved over here. So everything I think is fine. The only problem is that he's not going to gain Sadist as many stacks as you would if you leveled the Heartstopper, because now he has to actually get his ult to make this better. But it's already pretty good. Night Stalker. At night, Night Stalker's health regen is increased by 40%, but during the day it's decreased by 20%. Heart of Darkness. New innate ability. Passive can't be leveled up. Okay, I think they made a mistake. So I'm sure you might have seen this, Sonic, if you looked at Night Stalker. I think they meant to put the at night Night Stalker's health thing, but they put it above instead.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, they put it above instead. They meant to put it down here, so that's his new innate. It's probably worth it, since he fights at night anyway. Enemy heroes affected by Void do not share vision with their teammates. So as soon as they're voided, they don't share vision at all. Deals 50 damage per second when affected enemies cannot be seen by allies. That's nice. Night Raid. The day-night cycle of the game is reversed. Nighttime duration is increased by 15, daytime decreased by 15. That's really nice, actually. It's a very, very interesting concept. Aghanim Scepter upgrade was removed. Now also reduces target vision more for Void at any time of the day. Crippling Fear is now upgraded by Ags. Decreases cooldown by 5 seconds and makes it a toggled ability. Costs the regular mana cost to activate, then a percentage of Night Stalker's mana per second for, based on day or night. Still has regular cooldown, can be toggled off at any point. So that means you just keep it on, right? He should just be able to keep crippling fear on as long as he has mana. That makes it so much stronger. That's a huge buff. Huge counter to like Tinker and stuff. He just sits on him now. Okay, you're never getting out of this. Cool. Nyx. Base damage increased by 3. Gross. Agility gain increased by 0.2. Gross. Nyx can sense invisible heroes in a 400 radius. Why? I don't have any idea. But at least Anti-Mage gets that too, basically. Mana burn. Nyx assassin's abilities and items burn a percentage of the current mana of the affected enemy. Triggers only on spells that deal 100 damage or more before reductions. Yeah, it's only his abilities then. And only ones that do enough damage. Or Vendetta grants unobstructed pathing and max movement speed for the first 10 seconds of Vendetta. Mind Flare no longer deals damage equal to the target's int. Now deals damage equal to percentage of the target's max mana. Can now target any unit with mana. It'll instantly kill any non-ancient creep. Gross. Its cooldown did increase it late though. Vendetta no longer burns mana on its own. Aghanim Shard no longer increases its move speed. Burrow no longer increases Impale cast range, reduces cooldown, no longer increases Mind Flare cast range. It provides Nyx with a 500 cast range, 25% cooldown reduction. So just that's the replacement. Spike Carapace AoE increased by 100. Alright, looks very interesting. I don't know how to feel about this. There's a lot of weird changes. I think Mind Flare will be much more painful based on your max mana. Alright, so Dumb Luck no longer increases multicast chance by default. They're going to move that to Fat Chance over here. So Dumb Luck is still his passive, but they move the multicast change. Or he starts the game with 0 ability points, but gains 3 ability points at level 2, and regular ability points for the remainder of the game. So basically, have a really tough level 1, but then immediately be level 3 at level 2. Level requirement for all abilities and talents is decreased by 1. And that means that, for example, at level 2, you can have 2 levels in something. Because normally you have to wait till level 3. It would be 2. So if you wanted to have level 2 Ignite, you could have level 2 Ignite at level 2, for example. It also means you get your talents earlier too, right? So, like, things to consider. I still think the Fat Chance is better, but this is very interesting. Bloodlust just changes priorities. Nobody cares. Omni. I'm so close to being done with this. Jesus fucking Christ. It's Degen Aura, basically. If they go near, they lose movement slow. They have movement slow, whatever. For every 0.5 seconds an enemy is under the continuous effect of Degen Aura, Omnite Omnite's damage to that enemy is increased by 1% up to maximum 20. So he stays with them. He deals extra damage. Or whenever Omnite's abilities deal damage to an enemy hero, he gains a heal over time. Repel, now upgraded with Ag Shard. It grants 60% magic resistance. Hammer of Purity no longer slows. It's an auto-cast ability with an on-hit effect. Cast range bonuses don't affect it anymore. However, it's still considered a casted spell. Okay. Interesting. Alright, Oracle. Oracle will predict and announce to allies where the next power rune will spawn. So he gets to know where it is. Fucking prognosticate. Fuck you, Oracle. Spell Amp increased by 0.5 per hero level, or Heal Amp increased by 1% per hero level. Purifying Flames duration was increased by 1. That means the heal has increased. Basically, making it heal allies better, but also being more careful about enemies. Tick rate was decreased, meaning it ticks much more often. That doesn't mean that it's going to do less damage, though. The damage, I think, is listed in per second, right? It just means it's going to do it more often. It's going to update that number much more frequently, like a rather than that's all. OD. He's 5 slower. Base armor decreased by 0.5, which is whatever. OD gains 2 extra mana per point of intelligence. Whatever. I know it affects him a lot, but whatever. When Essence Flux restores mana, it also increases his max mana for a little while. Or he applies a mana allergy debuff, which heals OD every time enemies spend mana. And Sandy's Eclipse applies a mana allergy debuff, which also does the same. So basically, he either heals a bunch of people cast, or he gains a bunch of max mana. Either way. Mana pool to damage was decreased, though, by 2%. That's pretty big. Ag Shard now allows Astral Imprisonment to deal damage in an AoE. They changed Sandy Eclipse to not do this automatically. Cooldown was also decreased by 10 at all levels. Alright, did they fix Pango, I wonder? Ink gain 0.3, agility gain 0.3, base health regen 0.75, sorry, 0.5. And those are all nice. Whenever an enemy within 1200 units attacks Pangolier, they have their chance to proc random on attack effects reduced by 40%. So he's less likely to get a bash or something on him. Shield Crash. Pango can double jump, activating Shield Crash again while in midair, increasing the damage dealt and resulting barrier up to 30% based on the total amount of time spent in the air. Or, increase roll speed by 150 on Rolling Thunder and improves turn rate, but the duration is a little less. Swashbuckle. Slash range decreased by 300. Cast point increased. Making it longer, I think, to cast it. The cast range was decreased. Cooldown increased. So they ruined it again. Armor reduction was increased on Lucky Shot. Whatever. By 1. The debuff was increased. Who cares? Rolling Thunder is now magical instead of physical. I guess it was physical. And the damage was rescaled from a flat number to a percentage of his attack damage. I'm not going to play Pango. He's still ruined. Okay, I heard about this from Afro. Base damage increased by 2. Base attack speed increased by 10. Now, Phantom Assassin starts with 15% evasion and gets extra evasion per level. That basically means that she'll end up with 60 evasion, 60% evasion, just so we're all on the same page. So if they took away the blur evasion, which they did, she actually has less evasion, I believe. The only thing is that now she doesn't have to level Blur. Blur no longer dispelled on attack. While Blur is active, all mana costs are reduced. After Blur is dispelled, all abilities and items have no mana cost. Or crit damage increased by a lot, 100%. No longer has random procs, instead triggers on the 6th attack on the same hero or on the 4th attack on the same creep. Attack counters last a certain number of a while. And they changed a certain thing to be 1 less attack, so it'll be, 5 hits. That's interesting. Blur, no longer grants evasion at all, no longer makes her invisible, no longer lets her attack. Now enemies can see ghostly silhouette of Phantom Assassin when she's within their vision, but she's still untargetable until Blur is dispelled. Vanish radius rescaled to be much less, a little higher than less. And the buffer was changed as well. I'll have to see that in action. PL, base armor increased by 1, base health regen decreased by 0.5, base attack speed was increased by 10. That's probably a buff overall. Phantom Rush is now innate. Let's just make sure it's the same at all levels. Yep, the same. Cooldown was rescaled. The same. Yep. So nothing changed, just got moved over. Now, Doppelganger spawns an additional illusion per 25% of health that Phantom Lancer is missing. So you can get a lot of them. Juxtapose. Illusions are uncontrollable and can spawn on any visible enemy unit in 700 range. Radius of the attack target, prioritizing targets without juxtaposed illusions attacking them. They can perform Phantom Rush and change targets once the original one is dead. If there is no valid targets in range, they disappear. It increases the damage of illusions by 6% at all levels. That sounds really good, the juxtaposed one. I mean, it's not as good not to have them on the same unit, but it'll be much more chaotic, much harder to find him. Phoenix, Flying Sun. Debuffs from Icarus Die, Fire Spirit, Sunray, and Supernova apply stackable 2% mischance per second, making it harder for them to actually hit Phoenix during ult as well. That's nice. Burns all enemies in a 450 radius around Phoenix, dealing 6% of the missing health. Is it an ability or is it a passive?
Passive.
Okay, interesting. It's just like a random passive. Hotspot. Sunray does more damage, heal to targets near the end of the beam. Beam intensity starts increasing at half the beam length up to 150% of base damage. Heal at 1200. Okay. Icarus Dive, damage per second was increased by 5 at all levels. Cooldown was rescaled to be better at all levels. Sunray no longer blinds enemies on its own, because now you need Dying Light to have any... Sorry, you need his passive to have any blind. Okay, I think it's a buff overall. Minor, but a buff. Primal. Due to his size, Primal Beast does 40% bonus damage to buildings. That's really annoying. Trample gains passive components that increase movement speed of Primal Beast. Activating Trample provides extra movement speed to allies that are nearby, including him. Or Uproar, when activated, each stack provides 10% AoE bonus. Which I guess means everybody else gets it too, right? Since this is an aura and attack thing. Rock Throw cast point was decreased, making it happen faster. And the Rock Flight duration increased, making it still take about the same time to hit. Okay. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think it's going to change much. Puck. Base armor increased by 3. That's dramatic. Base agility decreased by 6. Well, that's why. He still ends up with more armor, though. Less attack speed, more armor. Puck restores 2% of its max health and 2% of max mana every time it disjoints an attack projectile. Disjointing spell projectiles restore 3 times more health and mana. Okay, so you're like rewarded for like whoop, whoop, whoop. For any reason. Fuels, phase shift, whatever. Using Illusory Orb. Waning Rift can knock enemies back or pull them by the same amount when alt cast is used. Force movement happens over 3.3 seconds. It doesn't interrupt though. Or Illusory Orb is a vector target ability. The orb's path can be curved in any direction. Orb speed is increased by 200, and the duration is 100% longer than a straight orb. That's very interesting. That's really cool, actually. Illusory Orb vision linger duration was decreased. Doesn't give you as much vision. Waning Rift removed the double tap cast. Now it's phase shift cast point was increased, so it takes an extra 0.1 seconds for it to happen. Dream Coil does more initial damage, and it stuns for longer. I mean, it's nice buffs to Puck. Minor, but still. Pudge we already talked about, so we can skip it. Thank God. Pugna. He can use any spells and items while channeling, with the exception of ones that also require channeling. That's annoying, so he can ult and still like Ghost you, or Ghost himself, or Yules you, or Force Staff, or whatever. Or use Guardian Greaves or something stupid. Nether Ward. Pugna restores health and mana equal to 25% of the damage Nether Ward deals. Or whenever an enemy tower is destroyed, Pugna permanently gains Spell Amp. So, as you guys are taking towers, you get stronger and stronger. I think both those are actually really nice. Damage decreased to Nether Blast, though, to make it harder. Good nerf, actually. 5, 10, 15, 20. Decrepify can no longer be cast while channeling on its own. Enemy increased magic damage was decreased as well. 10% at all levels. Interesting. Okay. I like this. This is really nice. Quap. Bondage. Whenever an enemy within 1200 range deals spell damage to Queen of Pain, she returns 10% of the damage dealt. Ooh, like a blade mail, like just built in, you know? Succubus. Gain most spell life steal that increases with proximity, starting with 12% up to 18%. Or spell amp increased by 15%. 22% of spell damage, including items dealt to heroes, is also inflicted upon Quap. Damage to illusions is not reflected. Damage reflected is before reduction. Damage reflected is non-lethal. Reflected damage can be negated by the debuff immunity, meaning if you use BKB. Those are both good for different reasons. Shadow Strike no longer heals per tick, because now instead if you want to heal, you take Succubus. Duration was increased by 1 second. As a note, though, what is that? Okay, it doesn't change the damage, it just increases the slow duration. Scream of Pain's cooldown was rescaled to get better now by a whole 1 second. That's really nice. Razor. Increased movement speed by 1% per level. That's a lot. That's because Storm Surge doesn't do it anymore. When Eye of the Storm is active, Storm Surge proc chance is doubled. And procs will additionally strike all enemies within the Eye of Storm radius. Can't strike the same enemy twice per proc. So basically, once Eye of Storm happens, he has, if you cast stuff on him, the Storm Surge, right? Which is his ability that is he gets when you cast spells on him. It'll hit everybody. Razor gains Spell Amp for every 20 points of attack damage. That's gross too, for a different reason. Aghanim Shard pull speed was decreased, so it doesn't pull as bad. I think it's really strong. I hate Razor. Ricky. Base attack damage increased by 5. That hurts. When Ricky strikes an enemy from behind, he deals bonus damage. I think this is just... Yeah, it's basically just giving an early level of backstab. That's all. Which is nice. Ricky gains bonus experience for kills and bonus experience for assists based on the current level of backstab. Or, his agility bonus is multiplied by 3 against non-hero units, meaning he farms faster and tricks the trade. Probably the experience, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Now also applies its mischance to enemies when they try to attack allies that are inside the smoke screen. So I guess... I didn't know smoke screen didn't apply to your allies. I already thought it did, but okay. Agility bonus changed from 70 to 100 to a flat 30 to 90 agility. Okay, that's interesting. Probably better, honestly, for most of the game. Bonus damage on attack in the back, move to an 8. Yep. No longer grants bonus XP and kills because now you have to choose it, right? Okay. I mean, he wasn't really buffed. He was pretty much nerfed because of the base damage. It's whatever. Spell amplification on Rubik also increases his base damage by 100% of its value and magic resistance by 50%. Okay, that's gross. So he's going to hit really hard and have magic resistance now. Decrease the mana cost of stolen spells, that's whatever. Every time Rubik casts a spell, he gains 25 AoE spell radius amp for 20 seconds. So he can just start casting spells more and more, like, out. Stolen spells will now use the facet of the hero it was stolen from. So if you stole a spell from a hero who was using a certain facet, you have to use the facet they use. That's just a specificity thing. Caustic is now his ability. It did actually... Hold on. It no longer slows enemies at all. It is just worse in general now, too. Max health as damage was also decreased. So it's worse as well. And explode radius was decreased, so it's a nerf. Sandstorm makes Sand King invisible. That's an ability. Or it follows Sand King with a speed equal to most of his speed. And when he casts Burrow Strike, Sandstorm recenters on his new location. So basically, do more damage if it follows better, but in exchange you're not invis. That's rough. And this Sandstorm's bigger too, so I don't know. Burrow Strike can now be put on alt cast to immediately cast in the desired direction without walking until the required cast range is reached. Sandstorm no longer makes him invisible. Yeah, we know that. Stinger, new basic ability since they moved the other one. Sand King performs an empowered tail strike with a 200 range, attacking all enemies within a certain radius. This attack deals 40 to 160 damage. It slows them. Okay. So he wants to slow you. He just goes, "Meow," and just hits you with a stinger. That's gross. Number of pulses on his ult increased dramatically. It got doubled. Damage per pulse is higher than half, so it's more damage. Radius increase per pulse was decreased. It needed to be because it's more now. Total epicenter duration was doubled. Attack slow. That means it'd be hard to hit kill though. They'll be able to get out of it. Was buffed early. Yeah, that's actually unfortunate. This is overall looks really painful for Sand King. I don't really like these changes. Shadow Demon, we're into the S's. We're only 2 hours in. We got this. Shadow Demon's attacks apply stacking debuff that amplifies damage taken by the target by 2%. So he can hit them and make them take damage from him and others. When applied to an enemy, Disseminate, they lose 15% of their current health, regaining half of it after the effect is lifted. If the target is an ally, their current max health are increased. Shadow Servant. If an enemy hero is killed by Shadow Demon or dies within a range, an illusion of that hero is created. Illusions deal a percentage of the damage depending on the current level of disruption. The illusion disappears when the hero it was created from respawns or when Shadow Demon dies. The illusions are created if killed by Shadow Demon after his death. In disruptions, bonus base damage was decreased. I don't know how I feel about all that. It might be worse overall, to be honest with you. Shadow Fiend. Necromancy is set. Max Souls is always its maximum. Max Souls now increased by 1 with each hero kill. The bonus is reset on death, though. Damage per soul increased. So now it scales up to 5 instead of 4. Aghanim Scepter increases max souls by 5. That's also a buff. That's really nice, actually. For any hero killed nearby, Presence of the Dark Lord further reduces armor by 2. Or Consecutive hits apply stacking movement speed slow for Shadow Rays and attack speed slow. Shadow Rays no longer does any of that by default. The cooldown is a little less. It's upgradable by Shard. It reduces the cooldown by 2 per enemy hero hit. Feast of Souls, new basic ability. Shadow Fiend gains attack speed for 8 seconds. After the effect is done, 5 souls are consumed. Shadow Fiend should have 5 souls to cast Feast of Souls. At least it should, not has to. Right? What does that even mean? Shadow Fiend should have 5 souls to cast Feast of Souls. Okay, well I'm glad you suggested something. I'm sure they mean must. Presence of the Dark Lord no longer gets stronger with enemy kills by default because they moved it over here. I think the changes to allow him more souls, to allow him to snowball, make Shadow Fiend a better hero. He's a much better snowballer now if he doesn't die. Foul Play. Whenever Shadow Shaman takes lethal damage, he survives as a 1 HP chicken with movement speed increased by 10%. Applies a strong dispel upon transformation and provides 0.75% protection from all damage. Attack duration is 3 seconds. Cooldowns reset upon dying. So basically, he has a chance to just, like, live. Hex may cast an allied heroes. After a 0.1 second invulnerability period, transforms them into a chicken, same thing. And create 3 chicken images that take extra damage and provides no bounty. Chicken images are uncontrollable and try to confuse enemies. 1 chicken always stands still, 1 chicken always scatters, and the other chicken will either stand still or scatter. Foul Play adds the 0.1 invulnerability period and creates 3 uncontrollable illusions on proc. Or Massive Serpent Ward. 10 Massive Serpent Wards are combined into 1 Massive Serpent Ward with 10 times damage and bounty values, while health is multiplied with 7.5. That's actually really nice too. These are both nice. I like this change. This makes Shadow Shaman very interesting, right? Very different than the Lion. Silencer. I hate Silencer, so hopefully you just remove him from the game. Okay, they just made his Steel Int the same. It's the same as it was. Irrepressible. Silencer cannot be silenced. Wow. They had to add technically he can. It just means that he could still have the debuff on him. He could just still cast. Or Global Silence duration is decreased, but the first time it ends on an enemy for any reason, it's applied on them again. Okay, so it is like 2 separate silences just to fuck with them. Arcane Curse. Curses the targeted area, causing enemy heroes to take damage per second and slowing them. If a target casts a spell, they're silenced for 2 seconds. The duration is paused as long as the target is silenced for any reason, but the damage and slow are still in effect. It's kind of like how it was, right? Except now it's not silences, it didn't do that. Glaives. Activated to throw a chain of glaive that will steal int and deal int damage. Landing 4 glaives, the same target will silence them, so that they took that away from his shard and put it here. And Ag Shard increases temporary int steal by 1 and steal duration. Attack counter resets after certain seconds without reapplying. Stacks cannot be applied to enemies who are currently suffering from the silence itself. Last word. It's a passive aura. Enemies within a range of Silencer are slowed and take damage per second for each silence debuff they are currently suffering from. So he lost the silence, but now he gained it on Arcane Curse. Global, now upgraded with Ags, causes Global Silence to apply Arcane Curse as well. I hate Silencer. I hate him even more now. Base mana regen on Skywrath went up by 0.25. Passively provides Skywrath with extra life, a lot of spell lifesteal. A ton, actually. Whenever he damages an enemy hero with his abilities, each instance of magical damage grants him a stack of magical damage barrier. Okay, makes him tanky. Each stack protects from 10 magical damage, plus 1 per his level. Or whenever he damages an enemy hero with any of his abilities, each instance of magical damage reduces all of his ability cooldowns, so he can cast more often. So either tanky or more spells. Arcane Bolt no longer applies spell lifesteal debuff. Mystic now instantly kills illusions, so the illusions can't help tank it. Slardar. Slardar gains bonus movement speed, health regen, attack damage, and armor while in a puddle or river. That's a lot. Aghanim Scepter still buffs this stuff. Guardian Sprint grants a 2 times speed burst on cast, during which Slardar gains extra speed and slow resistance. They both fade out, reaching normal. Corrosive Haze. Any active debuff on enemy heroes provides 40% of the reduced armor to Slaughter, so he steals armor. Slithering Crush. Agshar no longer increases AoE. Agshar Scepter Puddle duration was decreased as well. Bash the Deep. Bonus damage in water was moved to the innate ability, meaning he doesn't do bonus damage in water. It's now that he does bonus damage. Doesn't seem to do any bonus bash damage, you know what I mean? Slark. I like Slark. I play him. Base health regen was decreased by 1.25. That hurts. When not visible to the enemy team, Slark gains movement speed and health regen. So that's just, instead of ults, that's now his innate. That's really nice. Pounce applies essence shift stacks to enemy heroes caught by Pounce. It's just actually just more now too. Or when revealed by enemies, Barracuda effect lingers for a little while when Slark is not near an allied hero. So even though he reveals, and it's like, oh no, he's gonna slow down, not get hit regen. It's like, well, I'm not near my allies. I'm solo killing you right now, so I'm still fast. Aghanim Scepter was nerfed in the 100 cast range. Cooldown decreased on his ult as well. That's really nice. Depth Shroud no longer stacks with Shadow Dance. That doesn't matter, but whatever. I think overall this is a buff. Even though some of it's not good, I think him getting the health regen, like passively, like 8 health regens. Actually, it's not a percentage though. It's just 8. That might not be that big. That might be a nerf actually. It's just a number now, not a percentage. That's painful. Maybe he is ruined. I don't know. Snap. We're in the S's. We're close. Base damage increased by 4. Fuck you. Base attacks range decreased by 100. Okay, good, good. Base attack time increased by 0.2. Good. So she attacks slower. Snapfire's attacks deal 25% more damage, but they have a 25% chance of making a glancing shot that will deal 50% less damage. Okay. So she gains extra damage, but has a chance to do even less than she was before. It'll still end up dealing more, I think, overall, but... Whenever Snapfire attacks misses or glances, 2 ricochet attacks that can't miss and deal 75% damage will bounce towards enemies. Or Scatterblast shoots in a more narrow cone with a range increase. Also reverses the point blank rules, applying them to enemies that are further than 650 range away. Okay, that's interesting. Snapfire is still probably going to be a right clicker all the same. Agshar doesn't increase jump distance or airtime. It now heals target by 200 health. Lil Shredder now also deals 25% of Snapfire's base attack damage. Oh, get me out of here. Base damage per shot was reduced. I don't care. Base attack range was increased. Fuck you. That's where the 100 attack range went, by the way. Alright, fuck you. Sniper. Sniper's attack range is increased just passively. Good. Ghillie Suit. Although you can't get it as early now. Take aim. While active, Sniper isn't revealed in Fog of War when attacking enemies. Oh, that's interesting. That's really fun. Or Shrapnel. Duration decreased to 1 second, but the damage is multiplied by 4, and movement speed is multiplied by 2. So it's really, really, really quick, like, damage. I would just take the Ghillie Suit every time. Now knockback distance increases with the proximity of the target to Sniper. Max knockback distance is increased to 50, so it won't push you as far back if you're far away. Take Aim now provides bonus armor for the duration if you activate it, and the self-slow does slow you longer, though. I think it's okay. This new Ghillie Suit's so strong, because Sniper could just be on, like, high ground or something and start plinking you, and you don't even get to see him. You're just like, ow, ow, ow. That's probably pretty strong. Spectre and Illusions permanently have phased movement. Phased movement forever? Oh my god, that's so good. Desolate deals 40% of the damage the target has only non-hero allies within range. Abilities damage is applied to Spectral Dagger. So, I thought Desolate was supposed to be when they're alone, you know what I mean? Okay, so if an enemy is around, Desolate does nothing. The standard. But if you take this, it does less damage if there's creeps around too. But the ability's damage is applied to Spectral Dagger, which doesn't seem worth it. Or, cast Spectral Dagger of the current level on the Haunt's target and decreases reality cooldown to 1. Also makes illusions persistent even after their target dies. I think that's better, personally. Unless it means it deals 40% more, but it doesn't look like it. Damage rescaled, so Desolate does less early, more late. Okay, so instead of reflecting as much damage on Shard, it now absorbs and reflects some of it, which means Spectre will take less, but also reflect less. Spiritbreaker, I love him. Base attack range increased by 20. Yes, let's go. He's getting on the attack range tree with everybody else. Alright, passive. Provides the hero in your team with the least experience points with a buff that increases their experience gain by 50% until they reach the level to match the second least. Can apply to Spiritbreaker as well. Cool. This actually helps Spiritbreaker a lot. Sorry, guys. Makes charge bonus speed fade out over a short duration after the charge ends, based on how long the charge lasts. So that means that even once you hit, you're still a little fast. Where before, as soon as you hit, your speed goes away. Interesting. Or enemy receives a debuff that increases the distance force movement applies to them by Spiritbreaker and his allies by 100%. I can see how that could be a cool combo with like certain people like Magnus or whatever, right? It would like move people more. I think Bull Rush is better though. Charge Octotop pierces debuff immunity by default, and Ag Shard grants 100 movement speed bonus. Greater Bash doesn't deal any bonus damage to creeps. Nether Strike does less early, more late. Planner Pocket's now Ag Scepter. No longer stops working after blocking one spell, so it's consistent. Like all spells will be directed to me, which is interesting. Storm. Storm Spirit gains a charge of 0.2 mana regen anytime he kills an enemy hero, or whenever an enemy hero dies within range. Gains 5 charges and leveling up Ball Lightning. Loses 3 charges on death. Every time Storm Spirit gains a charge, he also permanently gains 0.1 mana regen. Okay, kind of helps. Applies a debuff on affected enemies, making them trigger an overload explosion on them if they attack within the next 6 seconds. So you do electric vortex, it's on them, they try to attack, they blow up. They blow up. Stack Remnant becomes a point targeted ability with 800 cast range. And it goes to it, kind of like Ember's thing does. You go like whoosh, and it goes zoop. But the vision is less. It just allows you to put remnants without actually being next to someone. Electric Vortex stuns earlier, better early, worse late. I'm not sure how I feel about this. This will be interesting. Galvanize is like the old Bloodstone, so we'll see. Sven. Sven's attacks deal 15% more damage to stunned enemies. That's very interesting, because he stuns you. Warcry creates a physical damage barrier on all units, or base damage decreased by 25, but Sven passively receives an additional damage per point of strength depending on the current level of God's strength. So he'll end up getting damage. So at first, it's a big nerf, but then he'll get that damage back, right? Again, they list it like there's 4 levels of his ult, which there aren't. They made this mistake a couple times. I'm pretty sure they're going to have to patch for that. Base attack range decreased by 150 for techies. Fuck you, techies. Alright. Techies gains 1 attack range for each point of attack speed, so he'll get it back. Or, damage and self-damage is increased by 15% of his max health, and the self-damage is now pure for Blast Off. Or, techies can use and benefit from the backpack items as if they were in the inventory. That's a really good one. I would take that one. Right? Because that allows you to have, 9 items. Late game, though, of course. It also would technically allow you to use jungle items, too.
Whoa. Not even that, though, because remember what goes in your backpack, though.
Jungle items.
Yep.
That's what I said, jungle items, too. It would apply in general. It allows you to start the game basically at minute 7 with 4 jungle items. All at the same time. If your team would let you take them. That's the only thing. Otherwise, you have to wait until you get your tier 2 item and then put your tier 2 in your main stat and tier 1 in the back. Then when you get tier 3 at level, it's 27 minutes, then you'd have 2 in your backpack. So it'd take time for that to pay off. TA, base health regen was increased by 0.75. Base attack time was improved by 0.1, making her attack faster. Attack range increased by 50. Attack projectile speed increased by 100. That's a huge buffs. Huge buffs. Side Blaze is innate. And the attack range is also better. It's worse at level 1, but ends up... No, sorry, it's worse. I'm sorry. It's worse because of the buff on the other side. Sideblade's range was rescaled. That's like the... Yeah, it's fine. Spell damage is no longer reduced for each unit it connects with. Spell damage, sorry. But it does have to scale up to its full spill. Still better overall. Sideblade's spilled enemies have their movement slow, or grants a damage instance every time a shield instance gets consumed. Meaning that if you get hit, you get another amount of the attack version of Refraction, right? No longer grants damage block instances, now grants multiple instances of a health barrier. Whenever a barrier is fully consumed, the amount of shield instances will decrease by 1, and a new full barrier will appear as long as there are instances left. Any damage that will reduce a barrier to less than 0 health is fully absorbed. Instances decreased from 3, 4, 5, 6 to 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the difference? I don't get the difference. Of a health barrier. Whenever a barrier is fully consumed, the amount of shield instances will decrease. Okay, I get it. So if someone did a single tick of 3 damage, it would not take away a stack. That's the difference. So if Venno is like, Poisonous Gale, and does nothing, that will not reduce her amount of stacks, which is a buff to her. Sonic Projection increased damage. Channel Time was also increased. I mean, these are all buffs, I think. This is crazy. TA is crazy. Terrorblade, I'm going to end this really soon, guys. I really want to get to the end. I'm tired. Illusions under Terrorblade's control that are within range receive a damage bonus. Illusions outside of the range receive a damage penalty. Bonus damage, 25%, or damage penalty, 50%. So we can't just push without being there. Sunder, you can remove the minimum health threshold so he can be at 1 health and switch. Or illusions always spawn with full health, but the ability also costs 20% of the current health. That also would be interesting. Attack range is rescaled, so it's lower earlier, higher later. Cooldown rescaled, it's more early, less later. Zeo gives 20 HP regen per second. And Terror Wave deals 200 magic damage. I mean, these look like buffs in general. Because now that they get bonus damage when they're near him, he's going to just roll over you as long as he can't die. Side Hunter removes negative stats effects if he takes more than 500 damage from player-controlled sources. Kraken Swell. Damage block permanently increases each time an enemy hero dies under the effect of Anchor Smash. Tidehunter doesn't get stacks if he's dead. Base strength. It says base strength is 27, strength gain is 3.5. I don't know what that means. Okay, I get it. So if he takes that, that's what he'll have, right? If he takes Krill Eater, his base strength is 22, but his strength gains 4. Base attack range is decreased by 50. Attack range is increased by 5 every hero level. Anchor Smash, radius decreased by 50, radius increased by 5 every hero level. So you can either take the immediately, I'm going to be good and get a bunch of armor, or the, I'm going to be shit early, but I'm going to scale real nicely. Okay. Timber is a strength hero. He was universal, I guess. I didn't remember that. Base damage is increased from 4 to 8 to 23 to 27. They have to change everything, basically. Yeah, okay. They basically just changed it so that his damage lines up with the strength hero. Timber Star restores mana every time he destroys a tree. That's really good. Timber Chain. When Timber Star collides with a target tree, it shatters, sending 10 splinters in all directions up to 700 distance. If it hits an enemy, they take damage and are slowed. That's really nice. Twisted Chakram. When leveling up Chakram. Launches a smaller, uncontrollable Chakram which flies in an infinity sign in the selected direction. It deals pure damage to any enemy in its way, slowing their movement speed. That's really interesting, actually. I really like that. Because that would be in addition to 2 Chakrams if you had his Ags. So you'd have 2 Chakrams and Twisted Chakram. That's really nice. Tinker, that's what you warned me about. He is 20 faster. Stupid. Heat-seeking ability placed by March of the Machines. They brought it back. Okay. Tinker gains 1% item cooldown reduction per 4 points of intelligence. That shouldn't matter if he still has rearm. We'll see. March of the Machines applies non-stacking heal over time when robots pass through allied heroes. So it's now a heal. They're repair bots. Though we'll see what the actual March of the Machine does. So you make a heal bots, or when the barrier is fully absorbed on Tinker, he blinks in a random forward direction for 300 range. That actually doesn't matter terribly because you could predict where he's going to go, but it's annoying. Laser. Increased cast range by 150. No longer is AoE. That's nice. Blind now affects all enemies in the radius when the AoE talent's picked. Creep blind duration is not the same as heroes. Ag Scepter no longer provides bonus cast range. Ag Scepter now can shrink creeps. Martial Machines calls for a robot army that does damage. I do not want to see this ability come back for pushing. Defense Matrix cooldown was increased. Rearm no longer resets cooldown of items. No longer grants magic resistance on its own. Channel time was decreased. So earlier it's faster. It's the same late. Channel time was decreased slightly on the Keen Conveyance. Warp Flare damage increased. Duration decreased. So now that he can't reset items, that's a huge nerf. I don't know what you were talking about with being worried about it. The fact that he gains 1% item cooldown reduction compared to the fact that he used to just rearm items and permascythe you.
Machines does damage too.
He can't permascythe anymore. That's all that matters. No permascythe, no permanent Wind Waker, no permanent anything, right? That was all removed. Now he has to rely on his int to get him item cooldown reduction, even though it scales up to 60 potentially. Let's even say it was 60 flat. 60 flat is better than 100% by him just casting rearm. So now he can't use a bunch of items, you know what I mean? Like any of them. Blink even. That means he can't re-blink, you know that, right? So Tinker can't ult and then blink again. He doesn't get it back. So like this is a dramatic change. That's so bad. Because a blink's cooldown is 13 seconds, right? So now, when he uses it, he takes off, let's say, 7 of those seconds. That means he has to wait a whole 6 seconds before he can blink. And you know what you can do to Tinker in 6 seconds? That's so bad. I actually think they ruined Tinker. I mean, they had to buff him in some way, so I get why they buffed him, but that's so bad. Not being able to rearm items, I don't even know if they'll see play. I mean that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll still see a sort of play, like maybe a different kind of way to play him, but that's so bad. Base health regen on Tiny went up. Kraggy's back. Enemies that attack Tiny get a debuff that decreases their attack damage. Oh, that's it. Okay, he used to stun you. Toss. Increased landing radius. Landing deals more damage to enemies in the target area and slows their attack speed and their movement speed. Tiny receives 20% of his strength as slow resistance and 10% of his strength as status resistance. Ooh, that sounds so good. I know why you'd want a big toss, but like insurmountable looks so good. Bonus damage was rescaled to be worse early, better late on tree grab. That's worse because you use it for lane, not for the game. Grow no longer gives slow resistance. They've put it into insurmountable. It does provide movement speed. Bonus damage had to be increased because otherwise it wouldn't be worth it. I mean, I think it's fine. I don't think it's... Time's fine. It's just a change. Nature Guys is still invisible. It's still innate. Drink gets 5 base attack damage per hero level. Who cares? Leech Seed can be ground targeted, planting a tree and damaging and healing all allies in the effect. Damaging and healing is half for creeps when the ability is ground targeted. If the tree is cut down, it regrows again with the next pulse. Interesting. So you can block people with that too. Berserker's Blood is now innate. The same bonus armor was decreased dramatically, though. That's actually nerfed. They made his ensnare chance always 20. That's pretty good. And the duration is the same. So they nerfed the armor that he gains, but they buffed the ensnare to be always max. That's probably still a buff. Fervor. Each stack grants 1 armor when Troll Warlord's in melee form. Well, there it is. So he'll get some of his armor back. Battle Trance gains 30% of his attack speed bonus to all allied heroes globally. That's pretty good too. Ag Scepter for axes and ranged always pierces debuff immunity. Ag Shard base proc chance decreased for throwing out random axes at range to 18%. That's whatever. I think that's nothing big change in Troll. That's a huge deal. It's really interesting. Tusk. Passively slows the attack speed of all enemies in 350 range. He actually already did that, by the way. That's just... Tag team. Tux... Okay, so he either gets tag team or drinking buddies. Same thing. It does damage, obviously. Yeah, no different. It changed the numbers, but it's the same. Or Drinking Buddies. Tusk reaches out to tag a targeted ally unit, pulling them closer. Once tagged, both Tusk and his tagged ally gain increased movement speed and bonus attack damage for 5 seconds. It's about the same amount, too. Okay, here's the difference. Tag team could apply to your whole team, meaning everybody could hit the tag team target, all 5. Drinking Buddies is just Tusk and his ally. But since it's Tusk and his ally and they get movement speed, it would be better if you're just going to play you and your ally or something. You also need an ally with you, while tag team can work Tusk solo. So there's definitely changes there. Walrus Punch now is affected by spell block, meaning that you could get blocked by Lincolns. Bonus damage is increased from 50 to 50, 75, 100. Nice. Crit damage was decreased, though. Oh, man. No longer slows. I mean, that's pretty bad. I don't like that at all. That's a bad change. Underlord, we're almost at the bottom. You were at the U's. Atrior is innate. The same. The same. The same. The same. When Underlord has bonus damage from Atrior, his attacks start cleaving, dealing 35% damage. The cleave distance is equal to 100 plus 5 per each point of bonus damage. Or Fiend's Gate. Whenever Underlord teleports with Fiend's Gate, he will bring forth uncontrollable warriors and archers to fight for him. The first underlings are summoned together for the closest visible enemy within 1,200 units from the gate. Then they are summoned one by one in 2-second intervals. All summons die once the gate closes. Summons levels depend on the levels of Fiend Gate. They're kind of like Necro Creeps because they burn damage. Yeah, and deal. Yep, they're like Necro Creeps actually. So he's gonna summon uncontrollable Necro Creeps, except not with True Sight. That's very interesting, actually. I really like that a lot. Root duration is increased on Pit. Nice. It's probably needed at early levels. Cooldown was increased, though, at early levels. Fiend's Gate comes out faster. Minimum distance was decreased, so you can actually cast it closer. Ags now reduces the cooldown as well. Nice. Alright, Undying. When Undying dies, he will automatically respawn in a fountain. Begins the game on cooldown. Cooldown 480 seconds. So, they probably took his talent away, right? Nope. He still gets the talent where he respawns with a tombstone as well. So Undying just refuses to die. That's the thing. Flesh Golem. When Flesh Golem is active, Undying's attacks will spawn a zombie chasing the target for 15 seconds. When Soul Rope is cast on allied heroes, they gain 10% of Undying's current strength. That's really nice. I love that. That strength thing. Ooh. Zombie vision range decreased by a lot. Aghanim Shard, time restraint on leave or re-enter decreased from 3 to 2, so it's easier to go in and out of Tombstone for Bunker. Flesh Golem slow was decreased by 1. I mean, this is still good for Undying. I like these changes. These are really nice. These are the big buff for him, but like a big buff in a different way. So they nerfed some Tombstone stuff, but just giving him some like come back to life stuff and really playing into the Soul Rip stuff. That's really nice. Ursa lost strength gain by 0.2. Now Ursa gains 1.5% of his current health as damage. That's so good. That's so good. 5% of damage absorbed during Enrage is converted to damage. Buff lingers for 5 seconds after Enrage expires. That's cool. Duration of all debuffs applied to Ursa is increased by 20%. By Ursa. I'm sorry, I thought I said to Ursa. By. So like slows or something, or even a bash actually would last longer. I still think the Grudge Bearer is like really good. It's also a pun, both of them are. I like this. These are really cool Ursa changes. I want to play Ursa again. He hasn't been good for a little while. This might be enough. Whenever an enemy hero kills Venge, they get a debuff until their next death, causing Venge to deal 10% bonus damage to them. That's kind of whatever. Avenging Missile. So you can choose to have a worse base attack time, but the damage of Magic Missile is increased by 0.75 for every last hit or deny that the target enemy has. So basically, it's a bigger hit for carries, for example. Or Venge hits better, and Vengeful Spirits attack fire. Spirits attacks fire traces of her soul that punch the enemy on contact, making her attacks have melee behavior. Meaning that any type of thing that would affect it is always melee, bashes or something. Yeah. So either you're going to be right-click Venge or you're not. They took away latent toxicity in Poison Nova. Okay. Poison Sting is built into here. Hold on. They did change it. It's worse early and later. They nerfed it. Damage per second was rescaled to be better early. No, sorry, better late. Just better. Nope, worse. It's worse. I'm so sorry. I really misread that. Worse at all levels. The duration is the same. Now upgradable by Ags. Venomancer's attack still 15% of damage of his base damage per each of his debuffs on targets. Okay. Poison Sting will just do more damage then. Noxious Plague. The plague spreads 2 times, but the initial damage for all spreads after the first one is reduced by 100%. Plague Ward can be cast on allies, attaching a ward onto them. While attached, wards are untargetable and die one at a time. Whenever the unit they are attached onto receives damage. Wards attack the same target their attack unit is targeting. Venomous Gale. Impact damage is decreased. Damage per tick decreased. Now upgradable with Ags. If it's dispelled by an enemy, they take damage, so like kind of like latent. Noxious. As an enemy already infected with the plague, it's hit again. No impact damage is done, and the debuff duration is refreshed. Okay, so they just like kind of took away latent toxicity in general in Poison Nova, and then they put the Ags into some of his other abilities to make them better. I think that's probably cooler. It's just better for Venom. Although the nerfs to the slows and stuff is probably pretty painful. Viper. We're in the Vs. We were already. Corrosive Skin is now there. Let's see. They nerfed the attack speed slow. They nerfed the damage per second. The magic resistance is the same. Aghanim Scepter no longer multiplies damage. Aghanim Scepter attack slow multiplier increased from 2 to 4. Alright, Poison Attack. After the debuff expires, all enemies around the target in a radius take damage equal to 100% of the magic damage dealt. Or Corrosive Skin damage per second and magic resistance are increased while in Nether Toxin. Up to 100%. That's crazy. Poison Attack's cast range was decreased to its minimum at all levels. Nosedive does not disarm. Corrosive Skin splatter radius was decreased dramatically. Cast range is increased, so at least it's a nice chase. The dive speed is increased. So Nosedive is no longer like a pseudo CC. It's just, let me get over there, and he just jumps at you. That's what it looks like to me. Overall, this seems like nerfs to Viper, though. Visage, base armor increase. Fuck you. Gravekeeper's cloak is the 8, 12. Yeah, it's the same. Layer recharge time is the same, so no changes. Grave Chill affects all enemies within 300 range from the target. Gains only 25% of its bonuses from each secondary target, so it doesn't gain as much like to him. Familiars always follow Visions and cannot receive direct attack or movement commands. They will attack the target Visage tried to attack last and will return to that target. Return the targets out of Visage's attack range, or Visage issues the stop or hold position command. Can still be ordered to cast Stone Form from the hero or individually. Familiars will search for a nearby valid target. If the target they were previously attacking dies, no additional orders are issued. If familiars get too far away, they will teleport to Visage within 4 seconds. Movement speed increased by 40. Can be put on autocast to make familiars immediately return to Visage. They cannot attack while autocast is on. Stone Form has a cast range of 1200. So basically, caster Visage or right click Visage. Familiars now upgrade if they were already summoned when leveling up the ability. That way you don't have to resummon them. You can teleport them back to Visage. Stone Form. It's easier to actually cast now, just UI changes. Void Spirit. Void Spirit gains 33% more secondary bonuses from primary attribute. Okay. Awesome. He'll get more armor, attack speed. It specifically says health regen, armor, mana regen, magic resistance. It didn't say attack speed, so maybe that's the case. I don't know. Should be. Barrier absorbs all damage types. That's gross. Void Spirit gains a physical damage shield equal to 40% of magic damage dealt to enemy heroes. Resonant Pulse no longer creates a physical damage barrier of its own. So, gross. Just gross. He's just going to be have great other bonuses to him. He's going to absorb all damage or be gross. I hate him. Warlock, we're in W. Jesus fucking Christ, this is taking forever. Strength gain decreased from 2.8 to 2.4. Good, he's squishy. Whenever unit dies under the effect of his abilities, the minor imps spawn in their place. Imps are uncontrollable and run towards nearby units favoring heroes. Yeah. Explode, yeah, we already knew all this. This is not new. Aghanim Shard improved values by 1. Okay. Chaotic Offering. Permanent immolations damage per second is increased by Warlock's current health and mana regen. Or Black Grimoire. Grants Black Grimoire a neutral item. Hero kills and assists infuse the Black Grimoire with charges. This item can be used in either neutral or regular item slots, but cannot be put in a backpack or dropped. Can be consumed to grant 250 experience per charge. For that, press right click on the item and select the consume item option. Black Grimoire starts with 1 charge and on cooldown for 20 seconds. It's consume? Okay. So it's you have to decide, when do I eat this? Basically. Interesting. Cast point improved in Shadow Word, comes out faster. Backswing is better. Now heals all friendly units and damages all enemy units within a radius automatically. Rescaled the healing and damage to be better early, worse late. Now ticks more often just to be more frequent ticking, just so you can see it better. Cast range on upheaval is worse. Range increase, though. Just the early levels. Worse cooldown early. Cast range decreased on Chaotic by 100, making it harder for Warlock to be in position. Golem's damage was also decreased at all levels, 10, 20, 30. His interval, the ticks happen more often, though. Aghanim Scepter Golems no longer have reduced health and bounty, making it more risky to get the Ags. You should always get the Refresher then. It's better, probably. Alright, Weaver, we're in W's. Agility gain increased by 0.2, whatever. Geminate. It's the same. It's the same, okay. Shikuchi. Movement speed increased by 50. Enemies affected by Shikuchi are slowed. Or whenever the swarms beetles attack heroes, Weaver gets experience. Ooh, those are both really good. Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger's movement speed is always as fast as the wind and cannot be lower than 240. Max movement speed is increased from 550 to 600. That's actually nice.
I like that.
Have you read this yet, Furry?
Oh god, no.
I have to stop soon. I'm at W. I'm really fucking trying to crank because I need to get off.
Keep going. You're almost there.
I'm almost there. Wind Run grants 15% bonus movement speed to herself and allies, so it's like a buff for her team. Focus Fires unit target allows to attack one target with increased speed, but damage is reduced. Or Focus Fire, no target ability. Wind Ranger starts shooting arrows per second at random enemies within attack range. Damage of these arrows is reduced by 30%. When the enemy is hit, they can't be targeted again for the next 3 shots. Okay.
That sounds super fun.
Okay, riddle me this. Wind Run, it seems to me, is better for one of these, and a normal ult, like one target for increased speed, you know what I mean? Or you take a worse Focus Fire and no buff to Wind Run. I don't know why you would take the worst Focus Fire. It's shorter too. Regular Focus Fire is 20 seconds. The worst one is 8.
It's not a worse Focus Fire. 11
it's
arrows
okay.
11 arrows per second.
You'll
is
attack
not a worse
faster.
Focus Fire.
Okay, you will attack faster. I will grant that.
It's also something you can run into the middle of a team and take out multiple supports at the same time.
Yeah, but I guess, but I think it'll end up not being as good, but I do see it now. It'll attack faster. It's a front-loaded Wind Run. Sorry, front-loaded Focus Fire. Wyvern. Base damage increased by 3, gross. Night vision increased by 400, gross. When an allied hero picks up a Wisdom Rune, the 3 heroes that would not benefit from will gain 20% experience instead. Gross. Whenever Wyvern restores health or heals an ally, 15% of all healing done restores mana as well. Gross. Wyvern gains bonus damage for each 10 attack range over 400. Scales with Winter's Curse levels. Gross. Arctic Burn no longer increases night vision. That's because she has it always. Attack range bonus was decreased. Nice. By a lot, actually. Thank God. That's going to hurt the right-click Wyvern. Let's go. 125 attack range off. That's what we needed. Burn damage integral. Yeah, they just changed all intervals to be 0.5. Splendid Blast can now target allies, but not Wyvern herself. Cast range was decreased by 50, whatever. Movement slow is now weaker early, but much better later. Alright, Winter's Curse. Mana cost decreased, whatever. Now has a base duration of 2 seconds. Ooh. That's really low. Duration now increases with each taunted enemy at the moment of the cast. By 2 seconds for every taunted enemy hero. And 0.5 seconds for every taunted creep. Max duration up to 7. No longer ends prematurely if no enemies are on the target. So basically, you have to get good Wyvern ults, otherwise it's going to do shit. So that's nice. Gris. The fuck, Witch Doctor. A neutral item that cannot be dropped or placed in the backpack. It's just like Warlock. When the owner dies, 100% of the gold lost from death is added to the item cost, which is also passively increases by 1 gold every 3 seconds. Can be consumed to permanently remove the item and refund the gold to Witch Doctor. For that, press right click on... Okay. So, Warlock gets one that gives him experience the longer the game goes. Witch Doctor gets one that gives gold. Paralyzing task damage increased by 35 per bounce. Voodoo Restoration deals damage to enemies instead of healing. So you lose the heal and gain damage. Or Death Ward attacks 2 separate targets at once with reduced damage. I think that Death Ward's the only good one.
Yeah, I'm playing Turbo right now to check the Voodoo Restoration one. It's horrible.
Yeah, of course it is. You don't heal anymore. Paralyzing Cast no longer has bonus damage per bounce by default. Oh, I see it. I could see the Paralyzing Cast one. It's 35 more per every bounce. Yeah. Maledict now deals its first damage instance instantly upon application to cancel blinks. Damage per second was increased at earlier levels. Tick damage interval was increased. Yep, so it's going to tick more often. But same damage. Radius increased a little bit to make it easier to hit people and multiple people. Cast range also increased. That's nice. Death Ward. Damage decreased 5 at all levels. Cast range decreased by 100. Voodoo Switcheroo. Attack speed reduction increased by 5. That's a reduction, meaning that it doesn't attack as fast. And the cooldown was increased by 10. Overall, I think it's fine. I think Witch Doctor is looking... I really like the Maledict changes. Those are really nice. Alright, Wraith King. Are you last? No, Zeus. Wraith King. Passively provides Lifesteal. Lifesteal against creeps is reduced. When slain, Wraith King is transformed into an untargetable Wraith with free pathing and increased attack speed and movement speed. Only transforms before the actual death, not before reincarnation. So he still reincarnates like normal. It's when he actually dies, he gets the Wraith effect like Axe. He can still reincarnate while in Wraith form of reincarnation when on cooldown during it. Meaning, if just like before, if you go into your Wraith form from your Ags and your ult comes back, you will reincarnate. Same thing. Aghanim Scepter turns Vampiric Spirit into a range aura affecting all allies. So basically all they did is they front-loaded. It also reduces respawn time by 10% for both Wraith King and allies that died as Wraiths. That's really nice, actually. So that respawn time really matters. But they basically just front-loaded that he gets to be a Wraith at his real death, even without Axe. That's really nice, actually. Bone Guard. New Wraith King's second basic ability when the facet's picked. For every 2 kills made, gains a charge. Can be activated to summon 1 skeleton per charge to fight alongside Wraith King. Skeletons benefit from lifesteal and can resurrect once like they did before. They do extra damage. Sorry, they do less damage to towers. Number of skeletons per hero spawned when reincarnating increases. Or Spectral Blade. Wraith King's attacks may curse his enemies and other abilities make this curse even stronger. Wraith King attacks passively place a curse that affects... that after 3 seconds will deal pure damage and physical damage equal to part of his cursing attack. Curse damage benefits from lifesteal, curse cooldown for heroes, curse cooldown for creeps. Illusions of Wraith King do not benefit. Curse cooldown is reset on all units in a 900 radius from resurrecting, meaning you can recurse someone. Wraith Fire Blast no longer makes skeletons focus the spell's target, nor provide increased attack speed for them. Mortal Strike, Aghanim Shard now also grants 150% critical damage when in Wraith form, meaning you'll get bigger crits when you're dying. Wraith Aura from Aghanim Scepter moved to innate ability. Yep, we saw that. I mean, these are actually buffs to Wraith King. I really like these changes. Zeus, you're the last one, buddy boy. Stagfield. Zeus shocks any enemy that he attacks or is hit by his ability, causing damage equal to 4% of their current health. Static Field also has an extra thing. Makes damage depend on the distance between Zeus and the damaged enemy. Max percentage of 7% is reached at a distance of 200 closer. Minimum is 2% at 1200 or further. So it just further increases the damage. Or Hits enemies in ascending order from ones with the lowest current health to the highest with a 0.2 second interval between strikes. Whenever an enemy is killed by Thunder God's Wrath, damage for the remaining strikes is increased by 15%. That sounds so cool.
That sounds really cool, yeah.
Because if you know you're going to kill somebody, it actually increases the chance you kill somebody else, which increases the chance you kill somebody else. You could, like, wipe a team that way. If they're all kind of low and one's really low, it's like, boom, does, like, that 400 damage, right? Increases by 15%, which is obviously going to be 60. So it's 460 damage, boom, kills somebody else. Now it's got another, more than that, because now it's instead of 60, it's off the new numbers, so they increase by, like, 80 or 100 or something. Boom, goes through. That's so cool. Arc Lightning no longer deals damage based on the enemy's current health because that was moved to static field. Its damage was increased by 5, 10, 15, 20. Thunder God's Wrath no longer deals damage based on health because, of course, they moved it. Damage increased late game. So 150 is 0, 75, 50, 150 added on, which is really nice. So now it's 650. So now it have increased this by 50%. It's off a much bigger number in Furry. Lightning Hands no longer grants attack range, now grants attack speed. Illusion damage reduction now also applies to damages from static field. Okay. So I don't really want to reflect on this. I know I usually reflect on the patch, but we are 3 hours in and I am spent. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't want to even postulate on what I think about this. I don't. I straight up don't. At least we went over it. We learned a little bit about how these facets are going to work. Just for everybody's knowledge, if I'm going to try to demo a hero real quick, just to... Yeah, there you go. So see, this is the facets here. So when this will happen during pick, but I'm going to have to choose what I want to do, right? And then you would demo, and that facet's now there, right? And I think in the UI, I'm just going to look at this real quick. It's going to take me 35 seconds just to see what it looks like in the UI, so you can see what facet you chose and see the So when you're hovering over a hero, it shows you both, right? So just hovering over this in general, it shows me my facet, right, which is Victory Feast, and it shows me below the innate ability, which is labeled obviously right there. So it's going to show you all that stuff right off the bat, and that's kind of the point, right? So I think it's going to be very it makes sense, and you can still do some of this by this, right? It's going to show you some extra information on that stuff. I also know that DotA Labs did make a different change, which I'd like to look at myself, because I very much care about some of those things. I know that... Yeah, I already have this anyway. I might hover over it. I guess, if you're gonna attack or something, you hover over. Yeah, I already have this stuff on. I've always had this stuff on. I was reading about it. Okay. I'm gonna end the broadcast here. I'm gonna probably play some Dota tomorrow. I'm gonna figure all this shit out. I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you all next time.